Yeah, let's kick it off, and then we'll let Demo take control.
Take control. Oh,
yeah,
that's
I'll kick it off.
Well, I'm gonna start it like this. If you just watch Ty adjust his headphones, keep that in mind. Keep that in mind.
Welcome to Unclicked. We have Ty Morrow. Long time coming. I feel like I've asked you a couple of times, like,
yeah, man.
Maybe over the years, hinted at it. And we have DeMarcus Paul. Thank you guys for coming. Shout out to the sponsors of the podcast. As always, we have Dale's. We have Source. This is the month of May, so they do have Denim Dales still going.
Denim Dales.
Pick them up anywhere. Definitely solid beer, I think.
Yeah.
Jason N's approved of the light lager as
yeah?
well. So he had 11 of them. I think he approved.
All right.
Yeah, thank you for coming, Ty.
Of course. Happy to be here, man.
Yeah. Shout out
Thank
to
you for having me.
Steve-O as well.
Mm-hmm.
I think he kind of connected the dots a
Yeah,
little bit.
Sick.
We had a little conversation, I guess, day after my little Instagram post, and yeah, man, he's like, I think it's time. I think you need to go on there. And I don't know. I've known Steve-O for so long, and the guy's kind of never really steered me in too wrong of a direction. And
Yeah.
I know, as you said,
Stop being nice. You steer all of us in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
No,
But like in terms of like, I don't know, career stuff, like he kind of always has been like a bigger brother to me in a sense.
Nice.
Like, so it's, I don't know, it's cool. Like I did like kind of trust him on it, and I've wanted to do it for a while, but honestly been really nervous first time on a podcast, and don't do too many, on camera interviews
Sure.
and all that sort of stuff. So like, I don't know. I think I get into my head about that sort of stuff.
that's fine.
Yeah.
I think everybody been wanting to just see you in general, but being here and like you said, not just because of the circumstances, but for it to like you end up here today, it's like what a great there's no better time in a sense where it could have happened a long time ago, but right now it's the right time. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, man.
And I feel like, I don't know, I'm kind of just in this position where I think a lot of people kind of have no idea what's kind of going on in my life. So kind of need to, I guess, clear the air on a few things, if you will. I'm not the best with my official statements on Instagram, if you will. So yeah.
I think you do. You make best of the situation in the light of maybe how you see it and from your perspective, which is like the first most important thing to do. Being from the outside looking in, it's easy to like say what somebody should do differently, but realistically, the first thing if you're on the outside watching is to put yourself in that person's position and like it's okay to express however you feel, and especially if you're doing it from like a point of your perspective, like that's the most important thing you can do.
I think when Ty says something, people you say it and you're like, oh shit, he's saying something. It's always it's not without thought, for sure.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Should we start at the beginning?
Yeah,
or should we start at the current
beginning? Let's do the beginning.
Beginning. West Palm Beach.
West Palm
Beach,
Florida. Corey Nastasio.
So not so much but that was I don't know, kind of him and Stephen Lilly, but I would definitely say Corey was like the original kind of icon, if you will. Just growing up racing, he had a little bit of racing background and would show up to the track here and there, like every once in a while we had like, they set up like dirt jumps and stuff, or, you heard rumors of Corey like, oh yeah, Corey flipped that random jump on the third straight, or,
was he already nasty at that point?
Yeah. Okay, all right. He was full nasty, like Huffy days, like all the kind of crazy Vans ads and stuff like that.
Spiky hair.
Yeah.
Did you ever have his Van shoe? I remember it being like red and black with gum bottom. One of my friends had. I always wanted it. It was. If you find it, it's like core and style. It was so sick. I used to sweat my friends so much for having it. But like, yeah, I think that's it. I saw it.
Yeah,
I think
that's the one.
I think most of my shoes before I started riding for Vans were from Marshalls.
Okay.
Like little $20 hitters. So, I don't think Marshall's ever got a run of the Anastasios, but they did have some good ones here and there. Like you'd see like a sick Etnies shoe or something like that. So I think I wore a lot of Etnies back in the day.
Yeah. I didn't know Anastasio were from Florida.
Yeah.
Dude, literally like my neighborhood pretty much. Wow. Yeah. Like not my, exact block or anything like that, but it was Green Acres, Florida. It's like a neighborhood within West Palm Beach, and he's from Green Acres, basically. Green Acres, Lake Worth kind of area.
Okay.
Yeah, his mom used to go out to my friend Billy's trails like all the time. Wow. Yeah, she'd just show up and just watch and shit.
Damn.
Just kick it. Yeah.
That's funny.
Westgate trails.
That's kind of interesting because like I'm pretty sure we all can think of like a bunch of different places that produce some of the most extremely talented bike riders, and Florida is one of those places. New Jersey, and a few other places, but like Florida, man.
Florida does it. Yeah. Florida does it. How? I guess is it you and Stephen Lilly growing up together?
So he was a part of like Tony Ennis's crew.
Mm-hmm.
I guess. For my age group, these guys were kind of like anywhere from 5 to 10 years older than we were, we were all like in school and shit, and these dudes were full-on adults basically at this point. And it was Dean Zalea, Stephen Lilly, and Tony Ennis. Those were kind of like the three dudes. Like if you were into like street riding and stuff like that, in my area, that's who you were like looking up to basically. So yeah, Stephen had the most notoriety, I guess you could say, and went on to do
incredible
great things.
I know you mentioned him being your like one of your favorite riders. Like I know you did like a Ride BMX favorite rider back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, in Korea or something we filmed that.
Yeah,
that was crazy.
South Korea randomly.
Wow.
Sorry, I got a burp.
No, you're good.
My bad.
Yeah, we'll play a little.
Pale Ale snuck up on me.
Yeah. We'll play a little Stephen Lilly just for the people that haven't seen it in a while. So I don't know if this is the
if
best
you don't even know
example,
who he is, it's worth like even checking it out on your own. And
so you guys, you're the little Grom then. They're a little bit older than you.
You could say, yeah, definitely.
Take you under the wing.
I kind of like always admired that they would go out filming and stuff. My homies and I in my neighborhood.
Wow.
Justin and Trevor Davis.
Mm-hmm.
We would kind of like film little BMX videos around our neighborhood and stuff like that. So always was interested in the idea of like making videos and seeing those guys kind of actually doing it in the real world, and then kind of seeing some of the footage that was coming out and stuff like that. Tony made this DVD for school, and it randomly like got kind of passed around. There was like only a few copies of it, but Steven had like unseen footage in that and stuff.
Oh, wow.
So it was really sick. Like that was kind of the original inspiration.
That's really sick.
So I guess when Tony they're filming and stuff already, like, because I always just think of N-Search as like kind of the intro to a lot of those dudes. Like for you, I feel like that was like where you set your mark.
Yeah, so Tony and I were filming in Florida for Shine.
Oh,
yeah.
I remember
for Shine.
Wow.
He was mainly filming with Sean Reel at the time.
Oh, he killed it too.
Yeah,
wow.
Sean Reel, shout out that dude.
Yeah.
That's really like in terms of going out and really getting it. That was kind of like one of the first dudes I really saw ever getting down.
That's so interesting. Yeah,
his riding's like timeless, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like he was trying shit and doing shit that like still to this day is just as buck as anybody else,
Wow.
Yeah.
It's so interesting to hear too, because I know I was gonna ask you later down the podcast about like your influence, about like a lot of stuff that you're particular about, like as far as filming, right? But like hearing just that little bit, it's like, dang, I can already see. I already see like where the inspiration come from, like how you got into it. Yeah, it's pretty sick just to know, like, dang, that's a sick crew of dudes to like watch.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome, man.
So when did you move to Like you moved to Greenville?
Yeah, it was so random, honestly. Like to kind of tell.
And everybody moved to Greenville.
Yeah. Yeah, it was interesting, man. It was kind of like the dream, like rather than moving to California or something like that, it was like, here's this place that's a bit closer, we did like random little road trips up there. It was like maybe 12-hour drive. split it up 2 days or just straight shot it, whatever. Whenever Steven moved up there, my friend Jordan Valona, he started going up there. Tony started going up there. Dean would go up there. So again, kind of following their path, started going up there. So yeah, after riding in Greenville and like kind of experiencing that like crazy lifestyle, like early Greenville days was pretty surreal. It was like just a straight up BMX town.
Yeah.
Like, it was really sick to just go ride and like fully indulge in BMX.
How old is Tony when he moves up there? How old are you when you move up there?
So I can't remember our age gap exactly, but I was 16.
16?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so I transferred high school, because I dropped out like after the first year because I like got the invite to like Estonia and stuff like that, and like started like traveling a lot more, and I was like, all right, I need to focus on this, I think. And I always did decent in school, so I didn't feel like I needed it anymore at that point. So talked to my mom, and she's like, hey, if you get your GED, like, you can do your thing. So got my GED, went to Estonia.
Dang, shout out to your mom, bro.
So
from there.
When like you mentioned Marshalls, shopping at Marshalls, like how was your upbringing? Like, are you guys, you're dropping out of high school? Is your mom like? She seems supportive from everything I know. Like, she did eventually move to North Carolina to like be with you, I assume. Yeah,
well, she basically dropped everything to move. Like, like, I didn't move first and then she left.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, so you guys went together?
Yeah, exactly.
Whoa.
Yeah, so like I went up there a few times. Yeah, sorry for not clarifying.
Yeah,
no, you're good.
I went up there a few times and I was just like, man, this is it. And like at that time, I was riding all day, every day. So she knew how much it meant to me. And I think she kind of also saw the light that like this could be the pathway to do something more with it. And not to be like, oh yeah, I moved to Greenville just to go pro, but in a sense, like that was the dream, and mom really helped fulfill that dream.
Well, I mean, all those dudes knew that they could probably ride bikes more and get paid more in Greenville, and Tony could get paid to film those dudes as well more in Greenville. So you shouldn't be embarrassed to like be like, yeah, I fucking thought I'd have a better chance, I think
like at this point, I'm like conditioned to like feel embarrassed about it or something, because like at one point there was like Pro Town USA and like everyone that moves there is just like trying to go pro and like all this bullshit. So but that's literally like 10, 15 years ago. So I think it's just like in the back of my head somewhere about like, hey man, I didn't go there to go pro. Like, I love BMX. But, I don't know.
No, that's such a interesting point, because like I've had the pleasure of meeting your mom, spending a lot of time around her, and she's very influential. Like our very first conversation was like, we talked a little bit about stocks and stuff. She was like, what would you invest in? And I was like, I don't know, diapers. She's like, and she like, people aren't having as many kids nowadays. I was like, oh,
valid point.
I was like, oh God, she's right.
Yeah.
But that just her presence, like being around her, like lasting effect on like when I see him, and he even mentioned his mom, it's like I think about like, dang, she's really cool. So for me to like meet her later down the road, but to know the story behind like moving from West Palm Beach to moving to Greenville, and it's like, dang, that's so much support. Like
did she go to Greenville and check it out first, or she just like
we went there, and she had to like, she bought a house first thing. She didn't go up there and rent. So she went up there a couple times, shopped for houses and stuff. But
so sick.
Yeah, it was a pretty quick decision. My mom moved to Florida originally to basically be in support of her sister, my aunt, Jody, rest in peace. But she went there originally for that. So the whole time she was in Florida, she was kind of like, I'm trying to get out of here. You know? So once Jody was like good, she had kids and everything at that point, like just fully stable. Wasn't really like anything holding my mom to Florida. And then when she visited North Carolina, it reminded her for some odd reason of Eugene, Oregon. That's like where she went
yeah.
to college. So I don't know. Somehow I think I just scored and got lucky, and
Yeah.
she was like down to do it because she kind of always told me like, hey, I wouldn't have done it if like I didn't like the town at all.
Yeah,
You know what
yeah.
I'm saying? Like it wouldn't have gone. It's not like you're going to the middle of the desert in Arizona or something like that. Like, and it's just gonna
Stars
be
align.
miserable,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know. But like, definitely a small town, so definitely was a big transition. And she got out of there after like, I think I moved, and then 2 years later she moved and went to Portland.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Did you feel at any point, like, I mean, you're 16, so I don't necessarily expect this, but like a weight of like, okay, my mom uprooted stuff, I got to make this shit work?
Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah. Not a weight in the sense of like from her or anything, you know.
Yeah.
Like, of course, she's just fully supportive and
Yeah, like a self-imposed.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So like she was as supportive as can be. So like never anything from her, but yeah, definitely self-imposed a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When did it kind of start to work? Like, who's the first sponsor? Who's the first hookup? Like,
So ironically, We the People.
okay.
Yeah. So Stephen Lilly got me connected with We the People, and then shortly after that, I started getting flow from bands,
Okay.
and that was through Josh.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And met Josh after Tony had like started to hang out with him, because I moved to Greenville. It's not like you just
Hey, what's up,
best friends
Mira?
with everybody.
Yeah,
You know? Like, you know what I mean?
yeah.
Like who's a 16-year-old kid? You know. So eventually, I like started hanging out with Josh. I think at that point, End Search was already at least an idea. If not, a couple clips had started to be filmed, and then it became an idea maybe. But yeah, I think we took that footage that we were kind of filming from Shine in Florida, and we're like, hey, we're gonna put this towards it or whatever. But I don't know if any of that transferred over actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even
Now that I'm even thinking about it, it's like I think we might have. I think Sean was filming in Florida for Shine, and then when I got to North Carolina, it was like, oh yeah, now you're gonna do a Shine part. But that eventually turned into my End Search footage.
Okay.
Yeah.
Too, they within like, if I remember correctly, like internet was very vague for me around that time period.
Yeah.
So I would catch like random vital videos, but I remember
this is when he was muting Corey Martinez's
Animal Can I Eat?
Animal
Can I Eat?
Yeah,
Animal Can I Eat part, because the song was horrible to me as a teenager. I was like, what is this?
Remind me what the song is.
I
have
is it
Trifilio
Layla?
in my head. For
It
some
could be
reason,
Layla, yeah.
Is the song like I was like, skip.
Is it Eric Clapton or something? I think?
Yeah.
Never been a big
2008.
Eric Clapton fan.
Yeah.
But I revisited that years and years later. I know every word to the song, but like I realized like Corey is insane. You know? But around the time period, I know you mentioned about like getting flow from Vans, like all that, but you were putting out like web videos. I mean, obviously web video was a thing, but you had like Banquet. You also had like Vital, and I remember seeing like RDU, which is like I guess a cement part.
Yeah.
And it's an infamous clip of this guy picking up the bike, and he was like looking at Ty's bike, and he was spinning the bars around. He's like, oh, you got the jumper cables right here. But it was like, but he called the pegs jumper cables. And it was like, what? But it was like, oh, I'm just like stuck. So I'm like, what am I watching? But them ripping the park apart, like just killing it. On top of, you wrote the unit. You have a web video at the unit. Like all this, like just like watching, it was like, oh, dang, this is
I have
really,
like
really sick.
a Banquet bike check edit that like I sometimes try to find. But like, I think it's just gone. But
Banquet.
Yeah.
I'm like legit.
Who filmed
stoked
it?
on that? Tony.
But
it was a unit edit. Because there's like a couple things I did in that like was the one time I did it.
That might be the video I'm thinking about.
Probably.
Yeah.
Because I think that was the only.
If you looked, I'm not gonna even try and look. You know what you're doing.
I'll find it.
Yeah. Maybe.
I have been taking AG1 for about 2 months since we got the stuff. I've heard a lot about it, and I'm 2 months on it every day, on every trip and everything, and I love it. I love starting my day with it. It's easy, simple, it tastes good.
Yeah, I always feel like I'm not super in tune with my body, so I'm like, oh yeah, I feel good today. And
Yeah.
I kind of,
Yeah, you were saying
reflecting back that I'm like, wow, I feel good. I'm like, oh yeah, AG1, like a couple of weeks of it, you really can feel a bit of a difference, and daily super easy.
That's my favorite thing about it. It's easy, and it's just that one scoop straight in the water. They give you an awesome little like starter pack to get it going, and it's just a good way to start the day. It's like my new cup of coffee, and I think I've said it on the podcast a million times, but basically this year, trying to get on a health kick, you know, with everything, I've been so many injuries last year. So perfect thing to add in. Even at Swamp Fest, you take this stuff, you go out and have a wild day drinking beer and stuff. At least you started your day with, you packed on the good stuff right in the beginning. True. And they're always changing their ingredients. I heard that they've changed it like over 25 times, and which is cool. They're open-minded and always looking for the best, like bang for your buck, that one scoop, just having the best ingredients they can find. This podcast is brought to you by AG1. AG1 is offering new subscribers a free $76 gift when you sign up. You'll get a welcome kit, a bottle of D3K2, and 5 free travel packs in your first box. So make sure to check out drinkag1.com/unclicked to get this offer. That's drinkag1.com/unclicked to start your new year on a healthier note. I love that pack. It's got everything you need to go. So if you're trying to invest in yourself, this is a good way to do it.
Cool. Thank you, AG1.
Thank you.
Let's talk about Greenville in general. Like, you went there a few times, so you obviously, like, your expectation, you know, must have been pretty on. You know, like, you knew what to expect when you moved there, but like, was there getting in with that crowd? Was it difficult at a point, or did you even want in? Are you ramp guy at a point? What are you trying to do?
I think when I first moved there, I was like pretty hybrid rider. Mm-hmm. I think, yeah, I would say I was pretty hybrid at the time, because I remember pretty distinctively, I tried to 720 the unit box, and it didn't go too well. And then I think after that day, I was kind of like, all right, I think I found what I should maybe focus on a little bit more, and that was street. And like, I don't know, stuff was working out a little bit better on the streets, and the stuff people were starting to do on ramps was just getting so insane. And like, another Florida legend, Mike Spinner. So I grew up 30 minutes from him, and
insane, bro.
The smelliest, stinkiest.
Oh, his pads were crazy.
But always had the most insane, like, he used to do like 540 Hurricane combos and stuff, like 540 Hurricane to foot jam whip to whatever, like all sorts of crazy stuff like that. And always knew he was extremely talented, you know. But then
first to do the 1080.
One day he did that 7 whip, and then the 1080, and then who knows what else. But that dude did some pretty crazy stuff in his like 3-year span. It was like literally he was in and out.
In and out.
I know
he
he's
knew what he wanted
successful
to do.
doing whatever he's doing now with nutrition or something like that.
EVL stuff.
Crazy. Another Florida guy.
Florida to Greenville.
Florida, man. I just got like Trey Jones and all those guys, but it's like Florida in general, like just that whole. I lived in Florida briefly, in Orlando. And just some of the stuff I would see, or just even knowing, like, dang, this is kind of like, you got UGP, like Chad DeGroot, all these people. Then you go a little bit deeper. You got West Palm Beach. You got Tampa. You got all these people that.
Profile.
What's his name? Tom Villarreal, also from Florida. A whole bunch of people. And it's like real wild. Like, he lived. I don't know if he's from Florida, but I know he grew up there a lot.
He's Florida. He's Tampa.
So we were in West Palm, but we would always go to Tampa and Orlando. Mm-hmm. When we'd go to Orlando, we'd hang out with Colt and his homies, like Colt Fake. And then West Side, we would hang out with Tom and his boys.
Dang, that's
like Tom,
he had the long hair?
A few dudes,
Tom had the ponytail, dude.
Yeah, they used to do these like, it's called Central Skate Park and then 686, but it's a massive indoor skate park. First place I ever did a backflip on a box jump. They had like a foam pit there, so you could just like, once you were ready, you could just go to the box jump kind of thing.
I didn't know you could flip. That's sick.
Yeah, I was 13. Did it in a contest, and it was like
ramp tie.
First one I ever did. Yeah.
Wow.
I was stoked. But they used to do lock-ins there, so we would like go up for those every once in a while and stuff like that.
Dang.
And those of you that don't know, a lock-in is a overnight stay at a skate park, which is very interesting concept.
It's like as a kid, it sounds so sick.
Sounds so
It's
sick,
like
but
going
as an
to the
adult,
skater.
you're like,
It's like
that's kind of crazy.
kind of
that they
weird,
did that.
right?
Yeah. Let me see. Hey, little boy, sleep in this warehouse.
Sleep behind this ramp.
Sucks.
So will the
That's all right,
backflip ever make a comeback
to foam.
to foam?
Yeah, I mean, I might do it on Resi at some point.
Claremont got Resi now.
Does
Got
it
it on
really?
Saturday.
I saw the photo of the new ramps that they posted, and it looks insane.
Yeah, it's fun. It's like unit-esque.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
it
was
really
like, I
is,
was
yeah.
literally like, damn, I'm gonna
Yeah.
have to go ride this.
Yeah.
It
it's
looks
cool.
really fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess I feel like the Greenville thing and just like that lifestyle is like, I don't know. I feel like you're riding down the street and you got Gutler going by in a fucking Jaguar, you got Mira going by sliding around a corner in a
It was
Mustang.
crazy.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't know what you got any funny stories or any random.
Well, I mean, speaking of Mira sliding by, Josh lived on the same street as Dave, and he was like maybe 4 houses down or something like that. And there was just this like nice kind of L turn, like it was curved or whatever, so more of like a C. But one day we were like hanging out, and it was when Dave had like his black STI. He like drove by. I think he saw us all like hanging out, and he straight up fucking drifted around the turn and ripped it out of there. Like,
Oh, that's so
it's
sick.
sick.
That's
yeah.
so sick. Is that what inspired you to get a?
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
Yeah?
100%. Yeah. Well, not that moment per se, but I think Dave inspired Josh, and then I was inspired by that.
Yeah.
Because when you ride in one of those things when you're a kid,
Hooked.
you feel kind of what real torque is like. You're like, holy shit,
Yeah.
this is
Yeah,
fun, and
yeah.
all-wheel drive car, all that stuff. Yeah.
Those things were revolutionary.
You had
back
the
then,
gray
too,
one, right? Was it?
Silver.
Silvers.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. 04, the first year in America.
It's the blob eye, they call it. The kind of oval like looking.
Oh, the bug
Yeah.
eye or whatever.
No,
yeah.
no. So the Bug Eye is the
That was the first
98
WRX.
to 2002s,
Yeah.
I think, or something like that.
You know
Or-
your stuff, dude. That's
Yeah.
like that's cool. Like if you don't know ties,
The Hawkeye's the one after mine.
See?
I can't remember
Oh, Hawkeye.
what mine
Yeah,
is.
you're right. Yeah.
Hawkeye's like 06 to 08. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Something
Fair
like
enough.
that,
Yeah.
so sick.
Josh was like the in between. Like I know he was like cool with everybody, or everybody wanted to be cool with Josh, whichever one it was. So did you kind of get to like you got the pass to cruise Miros and Nyquist or
Yeah,
all of them?
I think so. Definitely helped being friends with Josh because, yeah, he was definitely cool with everyone and a pretty huge influence in the scene and somebody that like actually grew up in Greenville as well. So I think that held a lot of weight because he's not just this random transplant dude or whatever. So if you ever went out to the bars with Josh or just anywhere around town with him, like everybody knows who he is, you know. So it was sick having that. And then at like certain points there was just kind of weird drama about like if you ride Dave's, you ride Dave's. If you ride the unit, you ride the unit kind of thing. And I think like the people that hung out with Josh like didn't really care about any of that shit and would just it was
Fuck
free
yeah.
reign, like you could go both places and everyone's cool
Yeah.
everywhere kind of thing. Yeah.
What about street stuff there? I mean, it's kind of good, but it's also kind of
It's
small.
surprisingly stacked though.
Yeah.
Like there's a campus in there that had when I first moved there was a lot of stuff, but it definitely got hit hard. So they started knobbing stuff, you know, but it was good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you Did you guys start filming for Deadline while filming for In Search, or what's the earliest clip do you remember from?
That's a great question. I don't know exactly when. I think so. Garrett came down to hang out with Josh because I think he had just gotten onto Premium.
Okay.
And he brought like a whole crew. Like I want to say Steve-O was a part of that crew. The homie Corey Azraf, and then maybe Brian Carter. But yeah, anyways, those dudes came down, and I think us all being younger, we were just like naturally prone to like fucking around and stuff.
Yeah.
So we vibed instantly, and then we went to like Do Tour and stuff like that, and then started to like hang out with Garrett a lot more. Yeah.
That's pretty sick.
Yeah,
That was
and
so. That was the first time you ever met Garrett.
yeah, that was the first time I ever met Garrett was through that. So then they were already kind of starting It was called Water Street at the time.
Okay,
Like the
I've heard of
Deadline
that.
video. The original title was like Water Street. There's a trailer floating around somewhere. Maybe.
Maybe.
But yeah, they kind of told me about their thing that they were doing, and was obviously stoked on it. I think End Search probably was finished at that point. And then, yeah, after hanging out a few times at Dutour and just filming random shit, I think naturally it just kind of lined up, got invited to film into the video or whatever.
So whose section were you most not hyped on, but like surprised by, or an In Search that
Do you care if we watch your end search part?
I don't care.
Because I always felt like the intro of the fucking the ping pong to your back, and then you just like,
oh yeah.
We used to
Always
we called it sting pong.
sting pong.
Sting
Yeah.
pong.
So whoever lose or whoever lost, you had to get a shot from the airsoft gun. Yeah. Ping pong was really serious at Josh's house.
How old are you here? Like 17? 18?
Probably, yeah. 17 is probably accurate.
Is that Quinn?
Yeah, Quinn. Quinn's a homie. He's the best.
Yeah, he's fucking awesome. I miss him.
I know. He's so cool.
Yeah. So I mean, like, when I think of your riding, I think of just obviously like being powerful, like and having like, I don't like control and power. Basically, is that I don't know how would you sum up your riding? I guess that's a fucking awkward question, but like, how do you like? Was there forming of it? Because you don't ride like Steven. You don't ride like Nastasio. You don't ride like anybody really at this point, even early on.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because I think your riding was different. Like when End Church dropped, it was like, holy fuck, this dude is definitely different.
Yeah.
So
I think, I don't know. It's hard to say like how I necessarily formulated that style, but I think, and this might sound kind of crazy, but Garrett was such like a hot commodity. Like when I was this era, especially. So like trying to find a way like not to ride like Garrett,
Yeah.
but like add
You're
sorry,
good.
my own little flair to it or whatever was like, I guess kind of what I was going for originally, because like Garrett really did inspire me. He inspired everyone, you know.
Yeah.
That era
Yeah.
was fundamental to where street riding is now, I think, you know. So not being a direct copycat of that, like I think I tried to just kind of find what he wasn't doing in a sense, and or doing less of, you know, and like not trying to do bar spins so much, but utilize setups more and stuff like that. Not to say he doesn't utilize setups, but
Yeah, you're being more thoughtful. You're looking at like how could we both exist without like you know, bleeding the lines between each other. And I think that over time, with the way you ride, is like unconsciously you're gonna like lean more into your strong points. So I look at like wall rides, high hops, like Fudger said, very powerful. So naturally, like you're gonna look at a spot and it's like I can wall ride over that rail. I can do this. So you're naturally gonna be like, I'm gonna do this like this. And whether a part of that came from separating yourself, I think just like more so just by design, it's like natural that you're gonna like jump over it and then grind or do this way. A lot because of like you're trying to separate the two or separate whatever's similar, but also just what's natural to you. Like you look real natural on a bike, but the power you have is like very unnatural. so it is
Thanks,
pretty crazy to watch. No, like seriously.
Is this your first video part? Like, or is this split edit with Lacey before this?
No, that's way after.
Yeah, way after, right? Okay.
yeah, first video part.
Yeah, that's crazy, dude.
Yeah, first one.
I've heard it from Tony many of times. Like this vision that Tony had for this video was like Ty. This is his breakout part. Like,
yeah.
Tony has like preached that to me many a times. He's like, yeah, Ty's time. This is him. He's coming out.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, just like even it's simple. I mean, it's relatively simple now, but just the pop out of that thing, like I just remember just being like, what the fuck? This dude is like overhopping shit. You know, like for like how Brett. I'm honestly kind of like Brett is now. Like I would assume that Brett would probably credit you because he does ride very similar in the sense of like just like doing the fucking most, even you don't necessarily need to. Like,
I'm doing this, and I'm doing it. Like there's no in between. He's not like guessing the hop. He's like doing it on like a higher scale. So
I think that genuinely stems from, ironically, like almost a place of fear, because I want to like overcompensate to make sure that I'm getting over this, or like I'm gonna fucking go fast enough to get through this or whatever, you know, like I don't know, it's crazy.
Was how instrumental was Josh or Tony or anybody else on like in the N-Search squad, just kind of like for certain tricks or setups, or you know, ghostwriting the podcast or ghostwriting the video part type in a sense?
I think like most of the process for that video like was literally just kind of driving around to random cities. Like we hit Raleigh, Charlotte, Greenville, South Carolina, and Atlanta a lot in that video, and most of it was just driving around, and we kind of got used to like, you see something, like now's the time, try to hop out and do it, you know. And
who did you ride with for the most part while you were
it was mainly Josh and Rob Garden. Yeah, we were pretty consistently in the car together, which was awesome.
And Rob is like 12 years older than you, essentially, like ageless, timeless in a lot of ways. But
it was really sick too, because I got to see Rob like form into this completely kind of new version of his riding, because he was brakeless, hitting gnarly stuff on street, like he broke his wrist doing a 360 over rail hop, but it's like he was getting down, you know, and it was sick.
He was like X Games dirt dude, and then he's like, all right, fuck it, I'll film a video.
Like, I can do this shit too, whatever, let's get it. And then that crash like set him up to where he's at now, you know. He changed his entire life and got super into fitness and all that stuff. Like incredible human being.
He's right. He did get the girls over in China. He said it and he did it. So proof to who Rob is. Like, shout out to him. So there's a lot of blurred lines for myself, and I'm pretty sure to a lot of the viewers and people watching. I asked a question about deadline in search, but somewhere in the mix, where did the trip start? Was it already an idea for you? Because a lot of people don't know. I think a lot of people know now, but like I used to personally think that trip was like straight just miles, and that's just because I didn't know, like I wasn't around, but wasn't even told anything otherwise until like I was older and knew. But did it start while in Greenville, right before you moved to San Diego, like or was it an idea, or before it was even the trip, did you already have a plan that you wanted to create something and really not know what it is?
I think a bit of the last one, but it was something that we formed during the filming of Deadline. And I'd say it was kind of like four of us that started it in a sense, which was Steve Croteau, the guy Corey Azraf that I mentioned before, Miles, and myself. And, you know, full disclosure, I don't think any of those dudes give a shit, but we all tripped mushrooms the night before and had a pretty heartfelt conversation, I guess you could say, and talked about the state of BMX and what we wanted to do with it and all these different, you know, aspects, and kind of decided like, hey, we need to come together and do something that's like a little bit different than what this Deadline thing is, because Deadline was pretty focused on like the riding, you know, and like we're going to film a sick video, like that was the focus, you know. Trip was kind of this idea of like, let's evolve the game a little bit, you know. And we had that conversation the night before. The next day there was us four that kind of were pretty passionate about it the night before. We're like, hey, let's like hop in the van and go have like a conversation together, you know. And on that van ride, like I came up with the name of the trip. I was like, hey, let's call it the trip, man. You know, like, it was the trip. We're on the trip. Like, it's the trip of our lives. Like all this, you know, kind of corny shit that you would think at the time, but like it all fell
But it
into
worked.
place.
I mean,
Yeah,
I have
it
a
worked.
trip tattoo.
Yeah.
Like blast on my
Yeah,
side.
you do.
Right?
You
It's
do.
like-
I forgot about that.
Yeah, that's kind of how like
Yeah.
well, that trip in the van got me all tattooed up there.
Yeah,
No,
man.
that's really good to know. I kind of knew a little bit of the story. I know Corey, and obviously Steve and Miles, but I didn't know from your perspective, like how did that come about? I knew about like the tripping, but like to hear it, like took the van ride. It's like that's pretty interesting.
And sorry to cut
No,
you off.
go
but
ahead.
What it was originally going to be was kind of interesting, and I don't think this has been like a story that's really been told too much, unless Miles talked about it. But it was going to be like similar to the Barracks website, and at one point, Ronnie, like at Shadow, Sparky's, was basically like trying to back it pretty hard. And we even like kind of started talking about warehouse spaces and stuff like that. And we had this whole idea of like, you know, different categories for different days of the week, similar to how Barracks was doing. You know, we came up with like a fake little template website and stuff like that with our different little banners and all that. And
Wow.
that was fully going to be a thing. And then they proposed like a whole crazy contract to us, you know, bringing it into like $1 million company within 5 years and all this stuff, they being Sparky's. But we just kind of decided like, hey, we want to do it ourselves.
Scary.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
we don't
Yeah.
want to necessarily just,
Yeah.
here you go.
I've
Like,
never heard that. That's
Yeah, I've
whatever
never
you can
heard
do with it, you know, have fun. And, you know, they offered royalties and all that stuff. But yeah, essentially it was a buyout before it was like even a thing. You know?
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So they wanted to kind of take it and have us be the face
faces
of it,
Mhm.
but you know, they kind of would have had the overall say, I think. So
Wow.
we took it and did our own thing. First couple of years, it was really slow because we just didn't have any money.
Yeah.
And then, you know, I think I was able to fund it. I had some money on the side, so I kind of just like started to take it over on my own at one point. It was probably like second or third year. And then
And at that time, were you still in Greenville or were you already in San Diego?
yeah. So it started in Miami on that deadline trip.
Got you.
Man, I can't remember if we went.
That's
There
the
was
Wet
like this
Willie
really
one.
long trip where like a few dudes went like from the East Coast, like North Carolina, and then drove with Miles to Tulsa afterwards. And that's kind of when it like really started, because a bunch of guys were like at my house, like Wong Tran and a few other people. And
Okay.
we were just bouncing ideas back and forth, came up with a template for the website. I forget his name, but you would probably know Francis. He worked
Pena?
yeah.
Yeah.
So he designed the
Good guy.
original. Yeah. He designed the original trip website.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dang.
So we like.
Design ourbmx.com too.
Oh.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
we gave him some bread.
Yeah.
Fucking got our website together. It looked great. Like the exact idea that we had. He made it come to life, and yeah. And like a few weeks later, we premiered a little video, and I think I was still in North Carolina.
When you say little video, you mean?
The original trip promo.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
It has like everybody in it. It's a lot of people in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, there was like some random North Carolina footage in that, like Greenville and stuff. So.
Dude, I feel like there's so many
Yeah.
like verticals of the story, you
So
know,
many.
end
It's
search,
so
deadline, trip, fucking your bike riding sponsors.
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
so hard to almost keep track because they overlap so much.
They do overlap, yeah. It's
so
like-
are you? I guess when you're in Greenville, are you riding for We the People still, or
So We the People was pretty short lived, I would say. I think I started riding for Premium right after that.
okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. Garrett was on Premium.
Yeah, Garrett was
Yeah.
on Premium, so you know, hanging out with Garrett, starting to film a Deadline, excuse me, going to Do Tour, hanging out with those dudes and stuff like that. I wasn't riding in Do Tour, of course, but just
The
Josh.
environment, yeah.
I would
Because
just
they were-
go
they
and
were
hang out
filming-
with
they were
Josh.
filming on the side, too,
exactly.
yeah.
Like we'd get random shit on the side.
Yeah.
And I was kind of like, hey, you could come along and we'll film for a day or whatever. You and Tony want to go out while I'm practicing or whatever, like do your thing. So yeah, I think naturally started hanging out with them a bunch, and then Josh got me on Premium.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it is Josh is on premium too. Yeah, forget about that. That team was crazy. Like
That's
it was
extremely stacked.
Yeah.
That was an era there.
Yeah, for sure. I guess so. NSearch takes. Is there a point where you're filming for both videos?
I don't
I
think
think
so.
that's what I'm trying to
Okay,
figure out.
all right.
Like,
You-
the deadline
yeah.
and that, yeah.
I don't think there was much.
Because it's so hard to tell because like I just looked and it's like NSearch came out in 2008. Deadline came out in 2012.
12,
Deadline
yeah.
supposedly filming for 5 years. Like, who
Yeah,
knows?
yeah.
Like, there is a little
But
bit
I
of.
feel like I was
Yeah.
filming for that one for like 2 years,
Okay.
maybe 3 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like 5 years is like Water Street days.
Okay,
Like,
got you.
okay,
Yeah,
fair
yeah.
enough.
Yeah.
How long does NSearch take to film? You were late in that too, right? Like,
Yeah, but like pretty early in at the same time.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. It wasn't alive for very long
Okay.
before I came along. Yeah.
What was Josh's motivation for NSearch? Because Josh hasn't done the podcast. Maybe one of these
I
days.
think just passion. Like, yeah. I think he just wanted to make a video, and then, inspiration from like the Trans World videos and stuff like that. Those would always have like a pretty good little sponsor list before him, and I think he kind of just was like, hey, let me hit up a few of my sponsors and see if they'll give me some money.
Yeah.
So like, I don't want to name specific names, but let's just say like Oakley's throwing in $5,000,
Yeah.
Vans is throwing in $2,000, and Premium's throwing in $5,000, whatever. Like, he just got little bits of money here and there from his sponsors, and was able to like fund this little thing, and just came about organically. Yeah, it was sick. Yeah. And it was all
little
really
thing-
simple. It was all like from the car for the most of it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That little thing had a big impact.
Yeah,
Like,
I
that
mean,
video
it is crazy. It's
yeah.
like you have to be. I mean, I would be tripping if I was like, all right, I'm in a fucking video with Harrington and fucking Nyquist and Darden and like all
yeah.
it just like
Definitely crazy to be in
Yeah.
a video with Nyquist.
yeah,
Yeah, he's a legend. man.
The Penske truck, bro.
Yeah.
The double truck off the Penske truck.
We were on this trip in Charlotte one time, and like, I don't know why it's so funny, but this is like pre-iPhone, like having the map like right at your fingertips at all times.
Yeah.
We're trying to find some spot, and like Nyquist like decided to tag along on like a random like filming mission day, like when it's not like his usual thing. He's not used to like going to 6 spots but only riding maybe 2 of them.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
like we're trying to find this spot, and like we must have done probably 20 U-turns, trying to find it or something. And at one point, Nike was just like,
he's like, just
called
take me to
us
the
and was
fucking
like,
hip.
yeah, just like, what the fuck are we doing? We've done like 20 U-turns, like, where are we going? Like,
That's
this is
amazing.
ridiculous.
I
Like,
can hear you
so
giggling in the
funny.
car already.
Yeah,
like,
Yeah.
so good.
I was the intro of Nyquist. Just like I felt like it just showed like the real, like him just painted fucking blue or whatever it is,
Oh, yeah.
like
He's a
smoking
character, man.
cigs and all that.
He's very, very funny dude to be
I
around.
fucking loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
He's awesome.
But-
Tony.
yeah. Shout out to Terrell.
You guys
Check me out.
Yeah, he would like, there'd always be
Shane
a random
Nyquist.
house party or
Yeah.
something like that, and like every weekend somebody was partying at their house, but like Nyquist would come out like maybe once every 6 months or
Yeah,
something like that,
yeah.
and like
But make up for it.
that
Yeah.
footage of him is like he was drinking Diet Cokes all night. You know what I mean? Like for real, like he's just like having a good time.
that's
like, messing around.
amazing.
But he'll,
That's
like,
amazing
He'll
to
fully
know,
like
yeah.
act like he's like wasted. And
Yeah.
shit. Like,
Oh,
it's,
that's so good.
like, he's
That's
just
so
cruising, like
good.
just having a good time messing around. Like so funny.
Wow.
So
Shout out
good.
to Nyquist,
Yeah,
man.
dude.
Gee, that's so sick.
He definitely played a huge part in having like a place for everyone in Greenville to go ride, but like I don't know, definitely felt pretty privileged to like go out there with like a group of 5 people, and like one of them's got a key and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like
I sweated you guys so bad.
Nyquist, that like allowing that was so sick.
That
Like,
is really
and
sick.
we definitely were doing things that were inappropriate to do at someone else's property, and like he caught wind of it here and there, and like he'd give us a little scolding every once in a while.
Like
but
what?
like at the end of the day, like I mean, just imagine, like, anything from fireworks to smoking weed like inside of the warehouse.
Okay,
you know,
yeah,
like
yeah.
he was not stoked on that.
I remember there was something where it was like,
Or like,
Instagram
you know,
days where he's like I don't know how he called you out, but he was just like, Ty Morrow, please wear a helmet. Like,
yeah, so that was
yeah.
so later on as well. That
Yeah.
was another thing. Like it did start to become a little more serious. Of like, hey, you guys need to wear helmets out there. Or whatever.
Yeah.
Because I think as it always goes, somebody had probably gotten hurt at some
Or
point.
just stress it. Just he knows
Yeah.
that this thing's a fucking. He's not making any money. He's not
Insurance is-
touching it. He's
can't
losing
imagine.
money, and
Yeah.
it's a risk. Like,
Yeah, at one point it was so wild. Like he had moved, you
Yeah,
know, and
yeah.
we were still just like cruising the ramps, and we're like, is he coming back or what's going on? Like, it's so wild that he's just letting us do this. You know?
It's so insane because like I did the Night Quiz podcast, but it feels like it's like 5 years ago or something.
Mm-hmm.
It's so long ago, but he talks about just like the money aspect and how fucking dumb he was because it doesn't have loading dock access. It doesn't have anything. He built a building for ramps.
Oh,
and it had
shit,
nothing.
yeah.
It
Like
had
the
no
resale value.
Yeah,
and all that,
it was completely useless for anything else. And
Wow.
they're like, "Yeah, you want to buy this?" And they're like, "No, this
No.
is fucking pointless. Why
Yeah.
do you have these walls with a roof?" Like,
Dude,
like
it was wild too. Like
Yeah.
at one point, I remember, like it started just getting used for random shit. Like they built a RC track in front of it, like in the dirt in front of it. At one point, Dan Sieg like built a dirt jump and started inventing tricks. Like for real, he did like a front flip like suicide double bar or some shit like that, you know, and like it was on the ramp that was in front of the unit. Like it was just like a wooden kicker with a dirt landing.
I remember that.
Oh, okay.
I remember
Yeah.
seeing clips.
Yeah,
of
that was just right in front of the dirt lot in front of the unit.
like Greenville shit.
Yeah, Greenville shit, you know.
Yeah.
So random, yeah. And then this dude, remember at one point there was this dude Redbeard that was living in the woods right there.
Okay.
Yeah, there was like a little patch of
Redbeard.
woods and like I don't know if he was like working on the ramps at one point or some shit like that, you know, like
Redbeard.
yeah, or if he was just in town for a few weeks and didn't have anywhere else to stay, but he just decidingly
He lived
camped.
in the woods.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just lived in the woods right there.
Crazy.
I don't know his name. But
Redbeard.
Redbeard.
Shout out to Redbeard. If you're watching,
Did he? Was he from New York?
Maybe
Yeah.
East Coast. I mean, there was a
Yeah.
few East Coast like characters that could come through like randomly, you know.
I
Josh
see-
Hino would come down.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
sick.
That's
That's
like-
pretty, he probably built the RC track. He's super
Dude, there
into
was a
RC
lot of-
cars.
Yeah?
There was
Yeah.
a lot of people into it in Greenville. Yeah, like Steven was into it, Steven Lilly. I think Alistair Witten might have been into it at one point. And then they were also into the planes. I think Dave Dillon.
Oh yeah, with
Darden.
Colin just fucking wrecking it, like
Yep.
flying it for 1 second and just like, well, there goes $600.
I crashed my drone and that was pretty bad. It was
Yeah.
like a month out of my warranty too. But it still operates, but
the
here
one,
and
the
there.
one recently, right?
Yeah.
yeah.
I was like doing something reckless. I was trying to film like a BMX line like under trees without the sensors on.
Oh
all
yeah,
that good
because
shit.
it wouldn't work without
Yeah,
the sensors. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. And then smashed it into a tree.
Fuck yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Using it.
Mine won't even die. I let my kid fly it. I literally looked at one time and it was in front of the house and there's 2 palm trees and he literally, it's like, I mean, they're like 8 feet wide and he was 6 and he's flying it and I like look away and I'm like, there's nothing he can fucking hit or whatever. And he shoots right through the 2 palm trees. And I'm like, did you mean to do that? And he's like, what? I'm like, okay, fair enough. Like, all right, dude. Well done.
I got lucky with the sensors one time. I was up at Big Bear and like it had snowed recently or whatever, and I was like flying above the lake and like kind of hugging the tree line. I didn't realize I had accidentally like tapped the 2X.
Yeah.
So I thought I was like way more like over the water, but turns out I was like right at the tree line basically.
Yeah.
And then I'm like watching the frame all locked in and all of a sudden it just stops. And I'm like, what the fuck's going on? You know, and I look up and I can't see the drone anywhere. But then I spin the drone and I just see branches on all sides of it. And I'm like, no fucking way.
Just in the trees.
So I like lightly finesse out there and I get out. I'm like, oh my God, thank
Wow.
you. Like,
Impressive.
so scary.
Yeah. It's too funny.
Yeah.
All right. So drone detour. I guess let's rewind on that, because filming. Who do you pick up filming from? Because ever since I met you, it was you were, nerded out on filming. Even VX nerd.
So Tony definitely had a pretty big influence on that. My first real camera was a TRV 950, and I think he had maybe told me to get a TRV 900. I don't know if I was on the forums at that point, but I was on the forums
50,
pretty
50
heavy.
must be 950 must be 50 better than 900.
Right? Yeah. Well, they had an open box sale at Circuit City, and I think they were at the time they were over $1,000, but it was open box $650 or something like that.
Yeah.
And somehow convinced mom to get it, being the supportive woman she is.
Shout out to moms.
She got that for me, and then a few months later got a little baby death and stuff like that, but learned how to film fisheye with that camera, which is actually thanks to my friend David Stasel, who is the team manager and filmer of Flip skateboards.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he went on to have an awesome filming career basically, and now is in that position.
And he was the one that.
And he taught me rule of thirds, taught me how to, have the rider come in this side, exit that side, sort of thing. He definitely taught me how to film fisheye, which I think is extremely important in action sports, obviously. And then jokingly, Tony said Ty taught me how to film fish, so David kind of taught Tony too, in a sense, but I think he just was kind of trying to gas me up at that point. Tony definitely knows what the fuck he's doing.
I'm sure he knew what he was doing, but
knows
there must
what
be
he's
something
doing.
that he was
to
it
this
clicked.
day, we still talk technical details on all sorts of shit. We were just talking about different camera shit the other day,
Your attention to detail, I don't want to say anal retentiveness, but your attention to detail.
a little
such as the headphones, if you remember.
Is that limited to filming, and or is this making eggs in the morning?
That's every single second of my day. Unfortunately, sometimes I look at it as a gift and a curse. Because it's sometimes it becomes hypercritical to the point of nearly paralyzation, if you will. You know what I mean? Because you're analyzing everything so much to the point where you're damn, I don't even want to do anything now. It becomes overwhelming. But at the same time, I thank it for creating the path of riding that I've gone on, because everything that I do, I want it to come out the best that it can. If you've ever seen a clip where I bobbled or picked my front tire up, or even had a weird lean at the end, trust me, I tried to clean it up. I tried, and we ended up with that because the gas ran out of the generator or the gas ran out of me. You know what I mean? So it's I always try to get stuff the absolute best that I can.
That's amazing.
And that's literally with everything. And stuff like the headphones, it's if stuff's uneven to me, I can't stand it. I've gotten better over the years, but before I'd be more let's just straighten this out a little bit, you know what I mean? That's not really parallel with that. You know what I mean? So it's having control over that, but at the same time, I'll notice it. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of crazy.
Is it? I don't know. I feel for me, I have a attention to detail in a lot of ways that it becomes really counterproductive. Where people are you could do that, you could do this, and I'm I could do that, but that's you're talking about 30 hours of my life right now. Where I think that in their head that they maybe can do it in 6 or something, but for me it really is insane, and it sucks, and it makes it hard to start things sometimes.
Dude. I will apologize every day for the rest of my days, but Boy and Raul and whoever else was in this recent trip mix, that footage is 6 years old.
Oh shit. Yeah.
So that's kind of a part of my madness of just putting this shit off. That's why you haven't seen clothes from Trip in 4 years. You know what I mean? It's because it's like I have this thing in my head that's just like so grand. You know what I mean? And like I want it to be so perfect and like so finely detailed. But getting there is a whole nother story. You know?
Yeah.
It's like not always as easy as
I can relate.
your brain
Yeah.
can like kind of make up the idea of it being, you know.
Yeah.
But I'm also trying to learn that, you know, that is very counterproductive, and you got to live your life and you got to do stuff, and that over perfectionism is, you know, it eats away at your mental health, I think.
Yeah.
So it's like good and bad.
I think I have to be 100. I have to be 0 or 100. Like
Exactly,
I have to
Same.
not care at all, and I literally will like get mad at myself in my head, like when my voice will be like, "Don't fucking do it! Don't fucking do it! Like don't look at it! Don't fucking care!"
Yeah.
And then or it's
I care all the way.
Fully
fucking-
locked in.
Yeah, so whatever. Just like needling in on the fucking sound of who knows anything. So and it translates to house projects or building cars
building cars.
or video editing. Video editing is insane. It is.
I can only imagine.
It's the bike builder.
Yeah, this is the bike builder. Frame is in there.
That's not my bike yet. That's like Corey Walsh mixed with some brakes. Yeah, this is a bunch of people's bike now still.
So steering, you go through the whole thing. Steering. Click
Okay,
through,
wow.
Hit change.
So change. Boom. I got my forks. Add to build. Okay, it's getting closer. Let's do the next thing. Headset. I'm gonna put my bars to Odyssey. Boom, wall stem right there. Add to build. This is easy. All right, changing the grips. ODI, soft, long necks. There it is, right there. Boyd Sprocket, the third one on the list. Best cranks in the world. Where are they? Yeah, you could like put your bike together and see how it looks, and like the Thunderbolts. Boom, I love those. Odyssey Super Circuits. Nothing compares. Ooh, it's looking good. Can we raise the seat post up on here? I think that's it. That's my bike.
Yeah.
The seat needs to go a little higher, and the ODI bar ends aren't in there, but that's my bike.
You can build Dennis's bike. You can build any bike you want. They have some templates in there from like an S&M build or
That's
a
crazy.
trail build or anything like that. So Source Bike Builder.
It's crazy. You really watch your bike come to life.
Shout out to Source BMX. Thank you so much for supporting us for a couple years now. Appreciate you guys.
Big time
Love you
supporters
guys.
are the best.
So, thank you. Back to the show.
What a lot of people don't know is that you I don't know if you mind talking about it, but you've taken a class about videography and a little bit more in depth to learning a little bit more about what you didn't know, even though you were already hands-on for a long period of time. Like, you want to tell us about that?
Yeah. I mean, as I've said a few times now, I guess I've been filming for pretty much as long as I've been riding, in one form or another, from the homies in the neighborhood on a little high 8 camera to getting the 950 to getting VXs to making my own video with Trip and stuff like that. It's always gone so far, you know. The filming style of BMX and skate is kind of limited to what it is, you know. Anytime people have gone to that like overly cinematic stage, I think it like doesn't like end up being received too well, I guess you could say. And whether or not that's that individual's fault or just like people not being used to like the cinematic style is to be determined. But I never really tapped too far into like that. Always been interested, always appreciated like optics, loved photography the entire time I liked videography. So always knew about good lenses, all that good stuff. Got my own little collection of equipment over the years. Tried learning random stuff, but you know, you can only learn so much off of YouTube and forums and all that. So wanted to try an actual class. And I thought at one point maybe I'll do City College and transfer. My original plan was to do 2 years at City College and then maybe transfer to somewhere crazy like USC, like film school or something, like if I could get in, you know. But that would be like the goal, is to go somewhere like really serious and kind of do that. But after a few weeks of being in school as a 32 or 33-year-old at that point, I was just kind of like, man, I can't fucking do this. Like, it was really fun. I learned a lot of stuff, and like, it was really awesome to, you know, hear from the professors, like all their insight and everything. I like learned about set building, and I took a documentary class, and we shot like a little documentary together. Like, I
learned what a hero shot is.
Yeah, we like had a lot of those hero shots. Yeah, yeah, but it was really fun. But I think I kind of just got like a little discouraged of like the state of like the film world in a sense, because it's so unpredictable at this point with like AI and everything that's going on, that I was kind of like, all right, I don't think I want to go like the traditional film school route, and like, which would most likely like kind of just point me towards Hollywood and being in LA. I didn't necessarily want to do that. I feel
like Anlam or a soulless like TV production role, which is like, I feel like they're talented, but they're not, that's not what they set out to do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's like, I don't know. I didn't want that to turn into like just a 9 to 5 or something, you know? And then as you begin to learn how many roles there are on a film set, like, I kind of realized that I would prefer to just be like the one-man band more so, and actually have control over those different aspects, rather than just like, all right, you're the guy that's on Steadicam, you know, or you're the focus puller, or you're the light guy, or you're the audio guy. Yeah. Like, when you learn how a set actually is broken down and like what the actual roles are, and then you even start looking at like what these people make, it's like very hit or miss. Like, you could spend the next 20 years, if you're lucky, making just over 100 grand, or you could be somebody that's like really doing it, that's making millions. You know? So it's like, I don't know, kind of hard to say if that's like worth it. So I started kind of trying to figure out different ventures. Still kind of in that process, but going back and forth. What I've kind of amounted it to at this point is I want to use my cinematography skills and like vision for Trip, basically.
Right.
I do want to rebirth Trip sometime soon, hopefully this year. But with that, kind of have a whole new aspect, whole new vision, and try to focus it a lot on cinematography.
Cool. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, you obviously you're talented, and I know it's like just like the way you say something when you post something, when you put something out, it's like it always just like speaks volumes to me, at least. Like I feel like it's always, it's, you know, and I mean, you know, when you sent me the drone clips from BMX Day last year, I was like, it's fucking awesome. I wish we talked about it a little bit beforehand, but I was like, fuck, like this is amazing. Like I would you always kill it with stuff, whatever it may be. So not worried about you in any sense in that world or in that aspect. That's cool though. The DeMarcus thing was awesome too.
It's like the thing we did together. You also did one with Augie. You did one with Wong. Well, you tried the one with Augie. You did one with Wong.
That one's still in the works.
Yeah. Okay. One with Wong.
Yeah.
Is the Wong one out? I don't.
Yeah, the Wong one's. Well, the Wong one is technically just on my Vimeo.
Yeah.
Okay. It's just a link on my Vimeo. Yeah. Which I don't even know if it's public. But
yeah, let's see.
Yeah, that one.
I can't really type.
Honestly, both of them, I still want to like go back and touch up a little bit. Like, I want to throw in some like. Mainly the thing that I want to do with both is just throw in some archive footage, but then just clean up some random stuff or whatever. But oh yeah, this is it. Yeah, this one.
Shout out to Wong, who lives about 4 blocks from here.
Oh, nice. Didn't know that.
The whole idea behind this one was, you know, I didn't know too much about the story that Wong kind of tells in this documentary, but the assignment was to basically find something, like to find a subject where there's like a clear like contrast or contradiction, you know, like so for example, for this it's riding motorcycles, but it's obviously dangerous.
Yeah.
And you know, tragically our friend LeBerg died a few years ago, and Wong had the misfortune of witnessing the entire thing. So this kind of talks a little bit about that. And this ride that we filmed was actually one of his first like solo rides back, like since all that happened and stuff. So it was very, very heavy moment. And this actually got like nominated that semester for an award.
Oh, that's cool.
But yeah. And I feel bad. The professors hit me up a couple times to like kind of try to feature this like somewhere or whatever, and kind of just didn't take the opportunity, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, lighting stuff looks good. It's all there. Like it is a cool story, and that's half the battle as well, is finding that story and getting it out of somebody as well. So like
the last 2 months or so, I've just been like trying to bring my camera out again and get used to these cameras are complicated, even all the settings and stuff, and just get familiar with the camera again and get comfortable. Got a couple of little new toys and stuff to help motivate me, but I am actively at the moment looking for those new subjects. Like I want to do some cool shit, and I want to I think it makes sense for me to focus it around BMX for now, like the documentary side of stuff. So I'm hoping to work with a few more people and kind of tell people's stories a little bit.
Very cool.
Yeah.
It is really cool. Like even watching it,
I mean, I didn't want to have the audio conflicting. It would feel it'd be doing both of us a disservice. So, but showing the visuals is part of it. At least, so.
So that's another thing that I do want to work on the two projects is the audio. I was
speaking of audio, like
having a ball in it.
Yeah, family matters. Yeah. I was not working off of a solid state drive on this, so during the editing, it was very 5 to 10 seconds at a time. Of it playing smoothly. Yeah. So, and I was having to turn it in before the deadline and all that stuff. So got it done, but I need to touch both of them up. So the audio is a little bit rough on this one and stuff. Yeah.
I guess, I don't know. I feel like we went up one of the big verticals, to current day stuff. I don't know. Should we cycle back to stuff?
Well, you moved from Greenville to San Diego. We didn't talk about that.
Big one, yeah.
And this will merge, I think, with the filming and other stuff that we're going to lead into.
Yeah.
So with the initial move, how did the idea to move into San Diego come about? And were you hesitant or skeptical about the move, or was it something you were optimistic about?
So the whole thing came about. I think Garrett and we were pretty good friends at the time. We started, hanging out kind of any chance that we got, contests, whatever. And we had this idea of maybe moving to New York City. Oh, okay. Because it was kind of made more sense.
Yeah, it's New York.
A couple hours from New Jersey, from North Carolina, it's maybe 8 hours or something, a little closer of a move, but obviously way less practical of a city.
Yeah.
So as soon as you start seeing those rent prices and square footage comparison, that reality hits, and that idea got quickly altered. So after we kind of decided maybe we want to get a spot together or whatever, we were both living at home still at the time. We were at X Games and kind of just enjoying the Cali lifestyle.
Were you riding in this X Games at the time?
Or? I think it was the first one that I went to.
The street one? Also the one that had the bigger setups.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was either the first or second one.
Oh, there's so much stuff we could talk about. Yeah.
So much. Yeah.
Man, because now I'm the timeline's hard because it's 15 years ago.
Yeah. The first one was the one near State College, SDSU, right? Was that the first house?
Yeah, that was the first house. But I was saying I can't remember if I was out here for X Games or if I was just randomly out here. I must have been out here for X Games because we were chilling at a hotel and shit. But yeah, so we were both out here for X Games. I still lived in North Carolina.
Yeah.
But yeah, we were just man, Cali's fucking sick. Why don't we move out here? but we were in LA. I think it was like Carson or some shit. But regardless, we're like, yeah, we should do the Cali thing. And Dennis, you know, he already had that house and had all the roommates and stuff, and it was kind of the BMX house of like SoCal, if you could say. So I think we started filming for Still Searching, which many people might not know about. A lot
of people don't know about Still Searching.
Was an idea, and
I got a special story about that.
We went on a couple trips, and the Dennis, we stayed at Dennis's house during one of the trips, and that footage got used in Deadline. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, like I think there's like a Josh Cali clip, and that was from that trip. It was like a Still Searching clip. But
is that the one we went to, like, what's that? Bar Pegs El Toro. Yeah, and then
that's in Deadline.
Yeah,
I don't know if that was for Still Searching.
I think it will. Well, Tony filmed that, so who knows at that point. But I feel like, because that was like when we went to Wall of Life and stuff. Were you there?
So Josh did the bar pegs afterwards, but yeah, I was there for the day we went to Wall of Life. Yeah. Like we went to that, and then I feel bad. We went
Cosman?
We went to El Toro for Josh to hanger it.
Oh, for me, yeah. I've talked about this. Yeah.
So I'm not trying to call you out, but that was one of our first times we ever hung out or whatever.
Yeah. Fucked up.
What is this?
He opened his trunk and he's like,
for some reason, I split my camera bags or something like that. Something really weird.
For some reason.
No, well, obviously, why the fuck would I not want to shoot Harrington do fucking?
He was so bummed.
I was so bummed.
But it's so funny.
And then, but I mean, like the ride off was only like 20 minutes or 25 minutes away.
Yeah.
Like it would have been, I would have been back, and I would have driven. If it was a GTI, I would have driven 100 plus in the GTI, and then, but it was like a weekday too, and it was like. I've been to El Toro quite a few times with a lot of people over the years, and from my take, it wasn't going to happen.
Yeah, it was so
but
moment.
It was he was going to hanger it,
he was going to hanger it, and he would have. He would have, and it because Josh was a savage, and he 100% could have.
And Kaczynski, man, best hangers.
And I offered. I was like, I will leave right now. I'll come back as soon as possible, and he was like, you're good. You know, but of course it's like, hold it over me, you know, like years later or whatever. But of course. It is.
Damn, we could have got a bar pegs and a hanger.
And I gotta say, so I said the best hangers. Honorable mention to Tony Nair.
No,
I just gotta put that. You know, we're on record. Yeah. We're on record.
Fucking Nair. I don't know, man. Yeah, I feel like I want to put Nair at the top.
Well, since we're talking about honorable mentions,
and everything.
Yeah, I kind of want to put Nair at the top because he was steep from the very beginning, where the other ones were like, you didn't, from a photographer aspect, you didn't know where to shoot it. You could shoot it anywhere with Tony.
I really like Josh's, but as a photographer, I know they were really hard to shoot.
Yeah,
because like I've been with him several hangers that he shot. Where the photographer's
that steep one in Atlanta that I shot.
But he goes straight tooth for like 3/4 of the rail and
then drops it. Yeah, so it's hard. So you got to shoot kind of at the beginning, but it's not like hanger-ish. But I mean, he had the. Yeah, I mean, Josh is one of the most incredible bike riders that's ever been. Like,
ramp and street. Dude.
Yeah, everything.
Yeah, I was at Roots Jam, like 13 years old, and he was fucking ice barring like the quarter to wall, like the top of the wall, which is 10 foot up, you know, and
insane.
Like that was the first time I ever saw Josh. But
it's incredible. I hope he's doing good. I haven't talked to him in a while.
Yeah.
I always blame Josh. I mean, speaking of Josh, since blaming right now, I always blame Josh for like. I mean, I should thank him honestly at this point, but I was going to move back down to San Diego with Josh, and him and I were gonna live together down here, and I was like, all right, let's fucking do it. And he bailed on me, like
I have a similar story.
Yeah, and to me, it was 100%. He was like, "All right, I'm in," and I'm like, "All right, I'm in." Like, let's fucking fly out here. Let's go find a place. And then, of course, like he bails, but I meet my wife. I have a kid. You know, everything's great. Worked. But it was like, damn, that was like a life altering flake out.
Yeah,
like
wow.
So, I think Josh was gonna move out here in 2008 or 9 during the housing crisis.
Yeah.
Bro, condos downtown San Diego were going for 125.
Oh yeah. Oh my god.
$125,000.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he was like looking at them or whatever, and he's like, "Hey, can you give me like 500 or 700 bucks a month?" And I was like, "Yeah, I bet, you know, like let's do it." Easy. And then cuz I think that's like what I was paying with like the guys too or whatever before. So, yeah, it was like okay, I'm gonna the whole thing. He was like, he's like, I'm only gonna live there for 6 months out of the year. Yeah. And he's like, it'd basically be yours or whatever. So I was like, fuck yeah, let's do it or whatever. But at the same time as well, my kind of regret was like, I want to say my mom, because, you know, like a deposit on that at the like wouldn't be that much. I'd want to say my mom was like, hey, you should just buy it. Yeah. I'll put the deposit down. And I was like, nah, Mom, I don't want to do that. You know, like that thing's worth probably 20x now, you know, like,
100%. Yeah.
It's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
At least 10x, but yeah.
Probably 20.
Wow.
Yeah.
Probably 20. 120. Yeah, it's easy way up there.
Well, how's Josh doing? Is he good? I always know, like, financially, I always assume that he's doing well. Like, I always think of him, like, talking about Apple stock, like, fucking 18 years ago or whatever and stuff like that.
Shout out to Josh for spreading the word of Apple stock the time he did. Cause, he got myself and my mom to buy it when it was very low.
And, so funny.
Yeah, that was my introduction to the stock market. Helped my mom out a lot when she got it. Like,
yeah.
And
that's where I met his mom. She talked to me about stocks.
She's big into stocks. Like she loves it, and I've grown to love it. I like it a lot now too. It's fun.
So sick.
I could see him being very good at stocks.
It's like right. Chart analysis stuff is like
the chart analysis
really nerd out.
Yeah,
it's
outer
crazy.
space.
But at the same time, I like it, but I don't necessarily have the gut for it. I don't like spending money and risking money
on the
that
spot.
Much, you know,
what's a good stock to invest in right now?
I haven't been paying attention as much.
You can only give one answer.
You gotta say this is not actual financial advice before you say anything.
This is not actual financial advice. But
seek a professional.
There is a part of the market that is pretty easy to follow, I guess you could say, which is the politician trades. Just following the politician trades.
Yeah, because you can track their stuff publicly
Quiver Quantitative and Autopilot. They were separate entities, still are, but I think they even paired together at one point. But they have like all sorts of algorithms and alerts and all that sort of stuff. Whenever trades happen, you can either auto trade with a politician of your choice or
piggybacks people.
Yeah, like what? So that's a big thing right now because it's clearly corrupt insider trading, and the market is so manipulated that it's frustrating to deal with when you actually like start to understand it, because it's clear corruption. Like these companies are fucked, you know. So at least piggybacking off of them, you can have a little bit of faith. That
you're in.
You're kind of in. Yeah.
All right.
And again, not official, financial advice. Not financial
advice. Josh, he's doing.
So like last time I talked to Josh, he was cool, you know. But I think I don't know, which like I think I can understand as I get older, but I think he just really likes his privacy, man.
Yeah.
And as much as that might make, you know, some of his friends bummed out, because I would love to have a conversation with Josh tonight, you know, but I can't tell you in the last 3 years, the last time that I talked to him, you know? So can't really say how he's doing. I know he's been watching my story lately.
There you go.
So I know he's out there. I know he sees what I'm doing. So like I don't know.
Well, maybe we'll watch this. Shout out to you, Josh. We miss you and we love you.
I'm making you proud, bud.
Yeah, exactly.
Because he's the bricklayer, as you could say, and definitely like my original like, you know, kind of hero, big brother figure in a sense. Like watching him do his thing over the year was just nothing but inspirational, and he's gone through it over the years. He's dealt with more shit than most people need to. So love him to death.
Hell yeah. How did federal come about? Was that from premium to federal then?
So yeah, I think I was writing for premium, and I can't remember. It wasn't like I don't believe that it was like, all right, I'm on premium and then next day I'm on federal type of thing. I think I didn't have a sponsor maybe for a little while.
Okay.
But because I remember, I forgot the guy's name, but it was like Jared or something with a J maybe.
Before Alan, like before
There's like
Alan
a guy
Cook.
that worked at Premium.
Okay.
He was a Derek Betcher.
Derek Betcher. Okay.
He was like randomly, so it was like
race dude.
Yeah, race dude.
Yeah.
So Tony something
Delgado.
Yeah. Tony Delgado was the dude. And him and Josh had like a really good relationship.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of feel like he trusted Josh, and anything Josh said kind of went at that company for the longest time. And then Garrett came in, and Garrett was this, you know, child prodigy basically. So like anything he said kind of went. And he was always really cool with me. I was like cool with those guys, whatever. So he was always really dope. But then he left the company, and I think they were kind of trying to fill roles at one point. And I want to say Derek Betcher was like the team manager.
I can see that. Yeah.
I hope it was. I'm pretty sure it was him. But yeah, he basically told me at some point when I was like leaving the brand that I was a dime a dozen, and that they could find another rider like me at any point or whatever. So it was kind of like a little bit of a kicker, even of like, all right, fuck you, dude. You want to see dime a dozen, like really stand out now, kind of thing. But yeah, that went to the federal thing, which I don't even like remember exactly how that got brought up. I don't know if I was like talking to Lacey or whatever, but
I feel like Lacey was the guy that always was like, if you get a call from Lacey, you're like, all right.
Because Lacey's like federal edit, where he was like riding the warehouse or whatever, and he's doing like the whip airs and stuff like that. That was like
the long, like bob cut. Yeah, like the longer hair.
I want to say
Lacey,
and like catching the tail whips all high with like 1 foot and shit.
Yep.
Like I really related to his riding, and like at the time I was transitioning from brakes to brakeless and had like a really hard time with whips, because I'd always catch with like my front foot, and Lacey like
usually if you have a brake, you can that front foot keeps it from pedaling. That's it. That's the one.
That's the one. Yeah. So in this edit, he's like doing whips no problem, and like catching them 1 foot, but catching like at the spindle and shit like that. And like, I don't know, this edit just like really resonated
the
with
music
me,
with
and,
it too.
the,
So good.
His style, the music, everything. I was like, this is the dude right here, you know? So definitely like had some influence on my riding at the time. And I think I like just reached out to him on social media or whatever, and we started talking, became internet friends. And yeah, I think that must have had something to do with like the reason why federal even became an option, you know? But at the time, I remember being at X Games, and it was like a conversation between Robbo and I. Robbie was like starting Colt, and he basically gave me an offer, and it was a pretty good offer. It was like basically double what I was getting paid at Premium before. And I think the way he might have put it was like, I get it, man, like you're trying to have enough money for smoke and pay rent, like I get it, you know, like or some shit like that. And I was just like, fuck yeah, Robbie, man, you know, like and with his offer, I kind of went to federal and was like, hey, you know, they're Colt's offering this, you know, can you guys match it? I kind of want to ride for federal more because of like Lacey and everything, you know. And they were like, yeah, we'll match it. So that was the start of the federal relationship.
Cool.
And for the kids that don't know, or people that don't know, that will watch and wonder what it means to, if a company have a figure for you, and if you are talking to somebody else, you do have the option, which is good, to talk to that company about like, well, I got this offer, what do you guys think of this? And it helps give you like a better understanding of your situation and the people that you're communicating with, which is extremely important. And like, it could be done in such a way where it's like, just imagine if you didn't consider like the situations like, oh, I'm not going to communicate well, I'm going to take this or take it this way. But that's a very, very important part, just about even looking at the history of just that situation. I want you guys to listen and pay attention. Listen to that detail. So,
I mean, I always say ask for what you want, and and whatever it is, they're going to come back if they can do it. Yes, if they can't, they're going to say, hey, I can't do that, but I can do this.
Yeah.
And then that's, but at least you ask for what you want, you know?
So during the era where I was like coming up and starting to get paid for riding, there was a pretty standard rate across the board, I think, for most like sponsored riders. And that was typically starting $250 a month.
That's crazy. Yeah.
And getting up to $500 a month.
Yeah.
When you bump above $500 a month, you're in a whole new category of pro rider, which is crazy from like an outside world perspective, especially for the risk and all that good stuff that you're doing. But BMX is small, all that good stuff. So I guess it's relative to these companies and what they can do.
Yeah.
And kudos for them to doing it. It's great that these bike riders or whoever were able to create these companies and pay riders to do something that they love. Like, that's awesome. Totally not discrediting that. But that being said, people do need to understand that, like, there was for the longest time $250, $350, $500 per company per month. Right? Getting above that is really like a whole nother category of rider. And I like kind of touch base a little bit on that on like my Instagram story post of like why this shit meant so much to me. Of like, hey, like, I got past that $500 a month, I was making, full disclosure, $1,500 a month at Primo. So that was like on par with what I was getting from Vans and like the bigger sponsors. So I was like stoked, it was awesome. They did that for a few years. Went to a Eclaw. It's like, hey, been getting $1,500 over there. What can you guys do? I think they were like, we'll start you at 500 and then we'll get you up to 1,000. I think at one point I might have gotten to 1,250, but then it just like trickled back down, But yeah, that's like,
what's the point of,
you can't really,
when they would say like, what merit would they have for raising you from 500 to 1,000? I'm just curious.
And yeah, sorry, I kind of,
no, it's okay. We can take
that because you brought up a good point of like, it's basically having a point of negotiation. Yeah. Or a previous standard of like what you're used to. Yeah. And at that point, I kind of did start to be like, well, Primo paid me $1,500 a month. Yeah. That's my fucking rate. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, if I'm a ride for a parts company, it's going to be for $1,500 a month. Yeah. That's kind of how I went into the deal. Yeah.
Which is fine.
They didn't budge on that necessarily. They never paid me $1,500 a month. But they were down to do the tire, transfer the tire over. They were like, hey, we want to do more parts. Let's do bars, let's do a pedal, I could have done more parts, but which would have, I guess, made me more money. That's a whole another topic we'll go into. Yeah. Numbers on all that shit is crazy. What's the truth of what's actually sold between what you're getting? Like, it's,
I want to bridge a gap. I want to bridge a gap real quick with everything we're talking about. This is why I went so hard with Joey, all that topic about like when Joey brought the $1,000, the $1,000, like, no, like, you're talking about $1,000. Riders are getting $250 and $300. $1,000 was good if you got that. But the thing is, the about being logical and the point that Joey made, were like, we all get it, but realistically, I also asked him, I was like, would you shoot photos for a company for making $300 a month? No, you wouldn't. He's like, yeah, it's kind of crazy. It's like, exactly. It is kind of crazy. Yeah. But the difference in like when I talked about the warehouse job is like, usually if you're working in a warehouse, you're going to have the benefits. That means that if you live in California, California has, what do you call it? What's it? Minimum wage. Yeah. And if you have benefits, they have to pay you what minimum wage is if you are a W-9 employee. Yeah. Stuff that like a lot of people don't think about, that's riders, but like a lot of people do it every single day when they go to work and they clock in. So when you scale it in all those different ways, and then we talk about $1,000, it's like $1,000 is a good amount of money if you're starting out, like, especially if you're like new to it. But the 1,000 wasn't even the arguing point. It's a $300. So when we talk about like negotiating and like talking about what a company gave.
I'm looking at Muller's thing right here, and it's like I had the conversation with Muller, and he was always like, well, you know, like we as a company pay them whatever $500 or $1,000. He's like, the idea is that they have a tire sponsor and a fucking and a shoe sponsor and a fucking energy sponsor, and it's like, and that's
that builds, and
that was always was always our role, and it seems like kind of, you know, things have kind of just folded in a little bit, and it makes that rate from the bike company when that's kind of the main gig, and maybe the ask is more than it was 10 years ago,
because there's a lot of sides to it, and
the ask is more.
I knew that. But
and,
you know, like,
to be fair to the situation, there are all sides to it. Like I think just from the rider perspective isn't just the only way to look at it, but this kind of go back to what I was saying whenever you brought the point about your posts and how you word certain things and you express yourself. Like those things are so important, because that's truly from a perspective. I can spectate all I want to, but the thing about it is, like, what you're saying isn't, you're not making up stuff. You're literally pointing out experiences, like something that's actually real. So
can I tell you an experience before we get too far
let's do
away
it.
from
This is about you. Let's hear
on the Moeller thing. And love Moeller. Thank you for the bike. I'm currently riding an S&M.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Love it, you know. But there was even a point at one point where Mac went into Moeller and was like, hey, Ty's making $1,500 a month from Fiend. I want that from Fit.
Yeah.
And there were a couple other dudes in the building that were also like, hey, yeah, Ty's making that kind of money over there at Fiend. Why the fuck can't we get it over here at S&M? And it kind of did cause some problems at the time, you know, but
yeah.
And I don't think that necessarily worked out exactly in their favor, but he did get a bump, like, at the time. I'm pretty sure Mac was making $1,000 at that point.
Yeah.
But it was because of, like, hey,
I mean,
people
this
out
is
there that are getting more money. Don't, like, try to play of, like, hey, this is where BMX is capped at.
Yeah.
BMX is capped at $500 a month. You know, it's like there's the possibility, and people are getting more from bike companies.
Yeah.
You know, they might be the 1 out of 6 on the team, but they're still out there. And I think at that point, Mac was that 1 out of 6 that probably did deserve it.
Yeah. Right.
His parts were insane, dude.
Yeah.
Like for Fit and stuff, like these 8-minute parts, like it's like, I don't know. And bangers that no one touches to this day.
Exactly.
So
it is a, you know, outside of BMX, there's, you know, corporations frown on people discussing compensation.
Yeah.
You know, like, and that is the most HR statement I've ever made on this podcast, but that's real.
I hate that that's a part of BMX.
And discussing what people make, and maybe I should do it more, but like, I always, coming back from the Ride days, like when I worked at Ride until basically I was the fucking boss, I didn't know how much a page in Ride was, because I felt like it was like church and state. That was like the ugly side of it. And the people like didn't want to fucking, were pissed at me for something that the business was doing. And I'm like, dude, I'm just trying to shoot the fucking bike ride and tell the story.
And so we want to protect our...
I always stayed away from it. And I'm not a money dude in general anyways. So it just...
You're a risk taker, though. You're a risk taker.
Well, yeah. I mean, I guess. I don't know what the fuck that necessarily means. I forget my bag. Well,
I'm saying you're saying you're not a money dude, but like I'm not. That's not equating to that you know about money. Just saying you're a risk taker, meaning that because we're talking about money, that you're down to take those risks. About, certain things. But you're down to gamble. You're down to figure it out.
I've never how many times have I ever asked you about money?
Never.
Never.
Yeah.
Because it's not. I don't give a fuck.
You're down the roll of the dice.
Yeah, like you're doing great.
Risk taker.
Just to give you some credit on the risk taker thing.
Yeah.
Look at where we are. There's not many people that are down to do this.
Yeah.
You know?
Sick. Yeah.
And you're obviously one
that's
of
the route. That's the route that was
three tops that are even down to set shit like this up.
Yeah.
You know? It's important.
Like, I appreciate it.
As long as I, have procrastinated coming onto the show. I've always admired it from the outside. I don't watch every episode, admittedly, like it's hard to watch 2 hours of content, unless it's like a topic you're kind of directly interested or involved in, whatever, Steve-O, I haven't watched his, but he hit me up as soon as he left and was like, hey, I talk shit in the podcast about the New Balance deal. I was like, well, thanks for letting me know, because I probably wouldn't have heard about it. You know what I mean?
That's the first thing I said to him today when I saw him. I was like, look at all you guys wearing those New
Yeah,
Balances,
there's
trying to
three
get
of
a
us at
paycheck.
the spot with New Balances.
Fuck yeah.
I'm wearing the Andrew Reynolds ones right now, and I had to fucking buy them off of StockX.
Boom.
I don't even know
'Cause
what
they're
StockX is.
So it's like a reselling app,
Oh, shit.
basically, but it's
Okay.
authenticated
Yeah.
to their ability.
So they're that
Basically.
sold out that you can't
They are
even fucking...
sold out in the color.
They're made off the 990, right? Off the
yeah. It's
Andrew
like, yeah.
Reynolds has a fucking signature
Nine
shoe in
signature shoe.
2025.
So like it's kind of
that is
funny.
insane.
His-
It's amazing.
And like
I mean, Andrew Reynolds is sick as fuck,
He is,
but
yeah.
I got it the shoe because, and like to clarify, like the whole New Balance thing, whatever. If we're on the topic, might as well. I never made an official statement that I'm off of Vans,
yeah.
right? So I think like a year had gone by. I'm kind of dealing with like identity crisis in a way because throughout my career, you know, Vans has been with me since the beginning, basically. In the back of my head, I've always said like at 30 is going to be the point where I consider what the hell I'm doing. Like, am I going to really push my abilities on a bicycle into my 30s, you know? So I kind of knew that the time was coming in a sense, but I also had this thing of like, once I lose the support from Vans, it's over, basically.
Yeah.
Because there's that idea going back to what Moeller said of, yeah, you know, you shouldn't rely on the bike companies. You should rely on the energy companies. You should rely on the bigger outside deals you could possibly get,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
In an ideal world, everyone would get paid great and all that stuff, but obviously it just doesn't work like that.
So when you said you had a year, you were off of Vans for a year when you made the New Balance post?
Yeah.
And the New Balance post was just a photo of New Balances, right?
It was just me. I was in New York City with my girl, with my fiance,
Yeah.
and shout out Sabrina. And we were at like a museum or some shit, and they had just opened up this like new section of the museum. It was all rocks and crazy, and we just like did a little photo shoot on our phones or whatever. And I liked the photo, and like the New Balancers are like clearly kind of shining in the photo, so I just like posted it with just at New Balance,
that's
you
what
know?
it was. Yeah.
Just
all
hit at New Balance, and that was it. No caption, because I kind of didn't even want to go the whole route of like,
Thanks,
well,
fans, for your
yeah,
time.
thanks,
It's
you
been
know,
a great year.
It's been a great 15 years. Without you, I wouldn't be here. You know,
That's
thank
like
you
just
for the
industry norm
signature
to do that, but
shoe.
you don't have to.
Thank
yeah.
you for this. Thank you for that. Like, which is great and all, but at the same time, like, I'm very upset with Vans.
Yeah.
So why would I sit there and give them the credit?
Yeah.
I think they failed. I think they failed in the BMX department. Like, it's a joke, in my opinion. And a part of the reason why I wasn't giving my all to them is because of how much I felt that way. It's a huge part of like the Eclaw thing as well. It's like, yeah, at a certain point, dude, it's like, I have no respect for you. So I'm kind of done like giving you my efforts.
So what was the root of the failure, I guess?
So going into meetings, when kind of like you get to a point where they actually act like they want to hear your opinion, and you're in these meetings with, you know, 2 other guys, and you're like, yeah, this is sick. These heads at Vans are like actually hearing me out here. Then you got a guy, as we're trying to like figure out a name for the Vans Illustrated video, it's like, hey, why don't you call it Pedal Files?
Oh God, I know this story.
What does that sound like to you guys?
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. Mind you, that name came up again when we did Shimmer. Yeah. So just like that kind of lack of respect, and just like throughout every stage of like trying to do anything with Vans, you just always had this huge pushback from skate of like, nah, you guys need to stay in your place. Like, stay over there, do your little BMX program. It's a tax write-off to us. Whatever. And look where they are now.
Yeah.
They have the greatest riders. They've had the greatest riders. Their current team is the most elite of elite you could possibly imagine, and they do nothing. It's just like, they do nothing to push the sport. They do nothing to like create inspiration for the next generation, it's nothing.
No.
Yeah. It's like sick. You guys did a video, the Paris dentist thing. Great. Where does it go from there? It doesn't. And that's kind of like the same story we see a lot in BMX is like, there's this effort and there's this push for marketing. Stuff pops up. It's sick for like 6 months. And it just dies the fuck off.
Yeah.
And it's like, where's the follow through? I think it's like people might lose that passion, not seeing the result they wanted to see, but it's like, it's an issue. Ultimately, I think we all suffer from it. Yeah.
I always think that you are like a quality over quantity type guy. And I feel like the world is definitely pushing quantity and noise and you know, and I guess shock value instead of that sort of stuff where it's like, you know, a dude gets clothesline, he gets 1 billion views. Is he wearing, and he's wearing Vans? Yeah, is that worth more than 15,000, 20,000 views on something? You know, just gross different numbers. But like,
I thought about this on the way over here, where like I've slowly seen the numbers on like this tire post go up, right?
Yeah.
It's like, damn, dude, it's approaching 100,000 views.
Oh,
it's
shit.
at like 130,000 views right now.
Yeah.
Right? Like if you just look at the little icon on your Instagram.
People are like coming back and just being like,
but it's like, dude, you scroll through my whole Instagram feed. There's like nothing that's gotten over like 70 or 80,000 views. You know what I mean? So it's just like,
it's shocking.
It's just so ridiculous that like shock value and all that bullshit will always do more numbers. And then like these companies want to like put it in your face of like, where are your numbers? Where are your numbers? Where are your numbers?
Yeah.
Which is just like so unfair to the entire process, I think, of like what we're actually trying to do. Like going back to Vans, they had a website. I know it's like a common website that companies use, corporations especially, but it ranks your social media for engagement. Right.
Yeah.
So I remember going to like, at one point during the meetings, they were like, yeah, Matthias Dandois, he's number 2 on this list of social media engagement. You're like number fucking 200 or whatever the fuck. And it's just like, that's not what I do.
Yeah.
I'm not an influencer. Like I signed up with this company during an era where it was about what I do, which is video parts.
Yeah.
Whether it's one every year, whether it's 2 a year, whether it's one every 2 years. Y'all are supposed to work with me, support me.
Yeah.
And do what I signed up to do, which was these video parts and like have quality over quantity. I could put a clip on my Instagram every single day if I wanted to, but I don't want to. I want to only show the best side of myself.
And that goes back to what I said at very near the beginning, is that when you say something or you post something or I pay attention. Yeah. And that's always, man, it's such a fucking hard line. Like it's such a hard world to, you know, be in, like it, because it does change so quickly. And it's fucking, look at our YouTube channel right now. We had the conversation with Albert recently. Like he just went to fucking France. The video got 5,000 views or something. And it's like, I was like, it's fucking tragic. Yeah. You know, like, and it's and we're gonna have a meeting about, we're gonna talk. I was like, well, I leave on Tuesday, but like, we're gonna try and get together and figure out what the fuck we should be doing.
Yeah, like what gets it.
And option is give up. You know, like who the fuck knows? Like it's so frustrating. It's so answer. Of course, but like
we all have seen consistency is key in all this shit. Yeah. Where like, you know, I hate to compare this to a YouTuber, but there's so many YouTubers that just did it for 8 years and had 500 or 1,000 views on every single video. Yeah. And then the last 5 years, every single video is 500,000 plus to 1 million plus, like whatever. Like, it's just crazy, like how this shit works. And like, I try to remind myself of that.
Yeah.
Like,
in the same sense, like I always, I think of myself as like a dinosaur in this, because like for me, the content YouTube channel, like I'll just use Dennis, is like Dennis is the star of the YouTube channel, and that's because it's his YouTube channel. for me, it's like I am still a magazine, just like making videos. Like at no point am I going to go to X Games next week. Fuck it, maybe I will actually, but like I've never I've never held the camera and pointed it at myself and given a report like, "Hey, welcome to Japan. We're going to be at X Games this week." Like blah blah blah. Never done it, and before at Ride or now. So like I will. It's very very something that I just can't wrap my head around, and I see the parallel for you where you're like, hey dude, I produce video parts. You will get one every year, two a year, one every 2 years.
But they're gonna be the fucking. Sometimes it's taken 2 years. Sometimes it's taken 6 months.
Yeah,
like,
but the good thing
is that like
the good thing about your situation, you're cross branding too, because you're not only making Vans video parts. You got like at the time like you have Primo video parts come out. You have tire promos for a Claw. You've made multiple Claw videos. You have like of course Fiend stuff. So you're cross promoting your efforts of riding, and even though it may not be direct to specific to the brand, but you're doing these things across the boards, which is basically cross promoting what you do. Like, so it's not like, oh well, since I'm making a Claw video, I'm not gonna ride in this particular shoe or a Van shoe at all. It's like, no, you're riding in the shoe. So everywhere, it's everywhere. And I think those things should be extremely taken.
I don't think Ty is the problem. Ty is this freight train that has been going down the path for so long, and then the world around the train has changed. Well, my point, the expectation has changed. Everything else has been like, hey, no, but like that's sick. You're doing that, but like, why aren't you talking into your phone and giving updates while you're at the spot?
So my point
and plugging the whatever, you know, and then why aren't you posting every other day on Instagram like this person?
Because I'm probably having a fucking panic attack. Like I'm literally probably on the way to the spot, fucking trying to calm myself down, having a full blown fucking panic attack. Yeah, like to be honest with you. Yeah, it's happened several times where I'm just like stressing on the way to spots. I get to the spot, like I used to be way worse, but I like used to have people get quiet and shit. Like I can't have people talking in the background. Like many things would like just throw me off, you know. And like luckily I've, you know, after I think living in LA and shit and always having the commotion around you, like getting used to that, I think I got better at it. But going from End Search into Deadline and having so much like hyper fixation of like the trick, the spot, like all this stuff, like everyone gave you the respect, the quietness, the time to do your thing, land it, to where like I got so used to that to where I'd go on trips and stuff and people would be like laughing in the background. I'd be like, oh, fuck man, like yo, you guys, like I'm sorry, but like do you mind like being quiet? Like I can't fucking do it, you know. And I've gotten better, but it's like crazy. Yeah It's hard, man. And I feel like I relate in so many different ways. Like just like if I shot a photo for the magazine, if I shot one good photo per day, crushing it, you know, because like the magazine came out once a month. There's 50, 60 pages of editorial. If I shot a photo that was a spread per day or even a page, that was a good fucking day. So and like, that's your clip, that's your video part, and it's like during my career, different time period. The trip edit was created. Yeah, essentially, like prior to.
Well, ironically, you are the winner of the first web. No, video. You're the winner of the web video part of the year.
No bicycles,
no bicycles.
That's
so ironic.
We were talking about that the other day, like and to go into detail about no bicycles. Like I remember that's the same year I had like the video part of the. I think it was like a Warhorse frame promo or something, and Colin had like a video part where Animal was like. We both got nominated. It's like, ooh, like this is sick. Then Ty drops, and it's like Ty won, and it was like obvious. It's like he deserved, he deserved that, and that to me is like proof into all your efforts, to everything that you've done, like from the beginning, and to lean more into when we were talking about like when you sit in those meetings and you talk with people, then you get. I'm not gonna lean too much into the skateboard stuff, but like you get like it's easy to read between the lines when you know you can give 110%, and you always have. And then it's so easy to see the BS, and when you see it, it's extremely hard to not unsee it. It's extremely hard to unsee it. And usually what happens in that situation, you start to like iron out all this stuff, and it's like you're living through all of this while you're still trying to do those things of pushing yourself to that limit, while still navigating relationships, friendships, like everybody else.
Exactly.
But
the world doesn't stop.
The world doesn't stop. But what happens is, in between the meeting, between the passive aggressiveness and the things that people say that they don't think twice about, but you're still living in it, but still sticking true to literally what you signed up to do, actually what you signed up to do. So whether things shift or not, if the conversation is about the shift, if the conversation is about, hey, Ty, try this, hey, Ty, try that, and if it has been established that these are the things that are working, we are on the same page. And when you leave and anything else shift outside of that and you see something different, it's like, well, wait a second. Like, this isn't the same meeting I just had. This isn't what we just talked about. Exactly. So now you move forward. And whenever you express yourself, then it's like you have people chiming in. You have people like, well, you should have. It's like, you don't even know. Like, and this is me on the outside looking in. Like, I could only like imagine, being in a situation about like everything you went through in those particular situations. But it's like, if hearing it from obviously how you got into it to being sponsored, to moving and doing all these certain things, and devoting yourself to your craft of videography, writing, and to just negotiating like maybe contracts and stuff without an agent, or like however you went about it. But to even be sitting in a meeting, I was at your Shimmer premiere. I stayed at your crib. That's how I met your mom. Like, she was super nice. We talked about stocks. So me watching this, I'm not there because like, oh, I'm just a friend. I'm watching it, and I'm watching real close. The reason why, because I'm looking at the people around me. I'm looking at how people look at other people. I listen to, even we talked about Steve-O, we talked about the New Balance stuff, and we all made jokes about it, but it's like, well, the harsh part of me go digging. I saw Steve-O riding in some New Balance shoes on his Instagram. It's like, well, that doesn't mean that you're wrong, but you got to think about all these things you're saying. How is this person wrong? Like, how do these people are in these positions and these certain things are said without people even thinking about it? So it's like, all right, so when this person started expressing themselves, and it's like, wait a second, we didn't ask for all that. We don't know what to say. So we try to dig instead of listening to the person that's literally pointing it out, painting the picture. So there's a lot that I like pay attention to, and a lot that I've like tried to like learn and listen. It's like, okay, that make a lot of sense. I'm not around. I won't dare ask, but there will be a time to hear, listen, learn, not piece together the puzzle, but let the people that are going through it show you like those points of learning, things that maybe I need to understand, people that are watching, people that are listening, without there being some kind of like way to make it make sense, but it should be a way to try to understand it, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, exactly. You gotta hear people out. Like,
you're good.
Like it's very well said. Like, it's like one of my favorite things about you is that like you really do absorb this shit, and then like you have a way of like articulating.
Comes at a cost. It sucks.
In an appropriate way, and like that's why I wanted to do this with you on the pod, is because I enjoy talking to you about this stuff most of the time. So it's like
it's like it comes at a fault, because I know sometimes I can let shit go, but it's real hard for me to do it when I know I'm like, oh, dude, like I'm sitting here like twiddling my fingers and like, oh, not right now, but just in general, when I like see stuff, and it's like, dude, like, so all right, bro, go to sleep, like just go learn, go do study, do whatever it is you need to do to get over.
Like when it comes to money stuff, was it, like I think, so Fiend paid you well, Vans paid you well.
Fiend paid me the same as Vans,
which is crazy.
The whole time, which is crazy.
Like, and I've always heard that Garrett treats his riders well, because he's obviously been there, and I think that's kind of, I guess, I guess we could rewind. When you're off a premium on Federal, Garrett stayed on premium. He leaves premium to start Fiend. How does, I mean, we're kind of glancing over federal, but you know, there was no.
Yeah, I think I kind of just told them, you know, my best friend's starting a company, and naturally I want to do it. And they didn't ask me out of respect to federal. Like, Garrett was never like, hey, I really want you to be a part of Fiend.
Yeah.
It was fully me.
Like, I'm leaving federal.
I was like, bro, like, what do you mean you're starting a fucking company? You're my roommate. Like, obviously I want to ride for it. Are you down, you know? And then
so you guys were living together at the time. How do you find out? When does he, you know?
I think, I want to say he had like started to talk about it with Bob maybe right before we moved. And then, if I can remember correctly, yeah, because right after we moved, federal came through like not too long after, and we did like a little federal in San Diego.
Is that
video.
when Bruno broke his wrist?
So when
Yeah,
when Bruno couldn't climb a fence.
I heard about that story.
That's literally the.
I mean, Bruno did try in 540 over
That
a
was
fucking
wild.
bank. You were there too?
No. I saw the
okay,
video. I just
alright.
remember hearing the story,
And
but I know the video.
the bank,
yeah.
the 540 over the fence into somebody's random person's backyard was
That fence is
insane.
tall.
It's huge. The bank was like
Oh,
15
man.
feet
So
too.
random too.
But Bruno can't climb a chain link
Yeah.
fence.
But he can jump one. So
Yeah, I wasn't there that day, so I don't know how they recovered him. You know,
Yeah,
like, did he go out the front yard? Like,
that's a good question because like,
He made it back out. He made it back out of that over the fence. Like he was
Yeah, I
able to
remember
he
climb
there's
that.
jumped
like,
it, didn't try to 3 or like 5 or something. It was something,
I
but
think
he
it was
didn't
a
jump it
5.
before.
I think
I think
he
he threed it first, and then he tried to 5 it.
I remember.
and tapped
I
the
remember
fence.
literally being like, "What the fuck? He's gonna 5 this?" Like,
Yeah.
it wasn't.
Savage.
Yeah,
And that was
So,
on the federal San Diego.
You're not
trip.
gonna. You were there for the chain link fence though.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
we were just like going into a random schoolyard.
You've
and,
heard
like,
that. Have you
and
heard
he's
this
just,
story?
Like,
Yeah, I
on
heard
the
about
fence,
that.
like,
The
no
most
idea
like
what the fuck to do.
the most like European thing where he's
Yeah.
just like had never climbed a chain. Like for people
what do you mean? There's not a plaza with marble?
couldn't climb a chain link fence. They've scared
Bro,
like
honestly-
10 feet up of like a 12-foot fence and like confused what to do. How
I
to
feel
go
like
further.
that's like most of America because like not
I
knowing,
don't know,
well
dude.
not knowing how to climb a fence, but like
Legit,
there's no
though.
other schools like San Diego schools and some LA schools that have these huge
Yeah, I mean, fair
Barely
enough.
Bare-
in
like,
LA.
it's
like
like,
in
if you
LA,
do, it's
most
like-
of them schools that like have good spots
San
are
Diego.
older.
San Diego's
Are
like
big
half
gates,
fences.
yeah.
Small fences,
small fences, yeah.
or they're just open.
Yeah.
So many schools in LA. are
San
just
Diego,
open.
bro. Oh my.
They like
Bro,
their fences.
I
Yeah.
like told like I don't even know who it was, but like I talked to like random people in my neighborhood and stuff. Like there's this one of my friends, Luis. He's like on the spectrum. He's like a little autistic. And he'll come in the house sometimes and we'll just kick it. And like I've shown him like my videos before, and I'll like explain to him like how we get into the schools
Yeah.
and shit.
Yeah.
And I explained to him, I don't know what school it is. It's like Mira Mesa or something, but there's the one. It's like the bench before the little block set.
Oh,
I don't
yeah.
know what
You have
the
to
current
climb-
status is,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
like
yeah.
at one point you used to have to climb over the fucking roof. And we set benches up,
Spot's gone now.
stack benches on top of each other, and then get onto the roof, and then
that school is insane to get into.
that's gone.
It's gone.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
RIP.
they completely remodeled the
That
whole
was
situation.
an
Both of them. It was two
iconic
similar. Both of them
spot.
were remodeled. Yeah.
Oh yeah, there was two,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it's just normal people shit.
Yeah.
So random. Like, yeah, I used to stack picnic tables on top of each other to
But
climb.
you don't
the
break
roof of
into shit all the
schoolyard.
time. My bad. Yeah.
That photo right there, we had to stack the tables for Fudge to get on the roof and
Oh,
Christian
yeah.
get on the roof
Yeah.
to shoot the photo and film it. It's
Yeah.
like, yeah, San Diego, bro.
Yeah.
It's crazy, man.
Yeah. Pretty funny.
But it goes down. They, I guess, kind of allow it.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah.
Like, I mean, the stuff.
It's kind of embarrassing to
People get away
mention,
with.
but like when we were kids, like Gary, yeah, obviously, I feel like people know that Gary and I, our moms met in a hair salon when we were like 3 and 4.
Yeah.
So
Didn't know
like,
that.
yeah. So I've known Gary's the reason that I ride BMX, but like
Sick.
there was a time in California when we were like 8 or 10 or something, we're rollerblading, you know,
Hey,
like,
yeah.
and we were just like, I don't even think we were like doing tricks, we had rollerblades, and we literally
Sick.
were climbing like 10-foot chain link fences in rollerblades.
So you guys
Like
been
literally,
doing
that
this.
was like
The hardest
sticking
way.
the wheels in
That's
the
so
fence,
savage.
Like
I
early,
used to blade a little bit too.
yeah, like '90s,
blade is
early
where it's
'90s
at,
type
man.
shit, you know. So
I
pretty.
used to try like 540 airs and shit.
Oh,
Because
yeah,
there's,
we
like-
never did that.
Because a lot of the skate parks in Florida like just didn't allow bikes at
Yeah.
all, or it was like bike night, bike day, whatever, where you had 3 hours of the one day. So naturally I had skateboards, rollerblades, whatever. I built it's Florida, but we built makeshift snowboards. And in my neighborhood at one point, there's these massive mulch piles. So we my mom put some straps onto a skateboard and we'd bomb the mulch hills and shit like that. But just trying to do anything extreme
Florida
sports,
snowboarding right there. Dang,
I never surfed though, ironically.
Yeah.
Always been afraid of the water. Not the water, but what's in the
ocean.
Water.
Yeah.
The ocean.
Sharks, man.
I feel you.
All right.
I would love to do it, but
Tangent over. That was a big that was Bruno tangent.
Federal, we're talking about.
Yeah. So Federal, San Diego, and then short. So relatively short-lived.
yeah, like Federal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say it was maybe 2 years.
Okay.
Well, we
Maybe a year.
Yeah.
So what does this bring up? Because I know, let's say, you went from premium to Federal.
Yeah.
Dime a dozen. What brings? What is
that?
Day late, dollar short?
Yeah. So that's a shadow conspiracy story.
And it was in ride.
Yeah. So
I should know this.
No, you should. I don't know if you did the article or not. It was in ride, right?
I think it.
Well, you asked a question and it was in ride.
We went on
we
went on 2 trips, and after those 2 trips, I was basically off the team because they were kind of over it. The first trip, we were in Philly, and the entire trip I just rode with Chris Marshall and Steve-O.
Yeah.
In their car, and the rest of the crew or whatever was just in the van that they had rented or some shit. But they didn't really like that, but at the same time I'd been to Philly a bunch of times before. Those dudes lived in Philly. We were showing them around kind of thing, but it got perceived as oh, you don't fuck with us,
Got you.
Which might have had some truth to it, to be fair. But anyways, we went from
Was it the Drew was on the trip? Was it Bazanzan on the trip? Who was on the trip?
I don't know. I don't think he was on that trip.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough.
I don't.
Yeah.
Regardless, I think maybe Trey was on that trip.
Okay.
But, and not to say it was particularly Trey that I didn't fuck with, but yeah, whatever. Chadwick in general, I think we've never necessarily been the best of friends. But anyways, that transitioned into, I think he wanted me to film and edit or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I had all this footage that was essentially left over from Deadline, I think. And we put together a timeline, and we sent it to Chadwick, and yeah, the quote was, I think he was kind of starting to say hey, we're probably gonna part ways or whatever the hell he said. And I was well, I do got this edit, if this kind of is a band-aid to all of our previous shit and we can move forward from here. And then he said the day late, dollar short.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
That was
and then that turned into my primo welcome edit.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And that was that quote, day late, dollar short, came from a Ride article. It was a Ride article about Ty. And I just remember reading it. This is before I even moved to San Diego.
Yeah.
I just remember reading this and I was day late, dollar short. I've heard that quote before, but in my head, just never using these in this way. But that kind of made me think about dime a dozen. When I heard it, it's oh, damn, this is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
Well, do you think at points you were hard to deal with?
No,
because I think I'll say let me preface it where I had absolutely zero ego about it, and there's definitely receipts on this podcast where I've said I wasn't the best photographer. I've been on I didn't get a Red Bull gig for 6 years after I was on a trip with Zelensky and Dalecki because I didn't shoot that many photos, and the guy got pissed at me, and I was like, why the fuck would I be shooting photos next to the 2 best photographers in BMX? I've always, so when you were going to have your Ride interview, I was supposed to shoot it.
Yeah, I remember
and then we went on one trip. Maybe we shot like a sequence or something. I can't remember. We didn't end up using it in the interview, but you're like, I want Z to shoot the interview. And I think part of the excuse was you wanted it to be film.
The whole thing, medium format.
Yeah. And
because at the time I had like an SQA. A Bronica SQA, so I was like
hard on, like a boner for medium format.
that too, that's another way to describe it. But yeah, I had a Bronica SQA, and I was super into the medium format.
Yeah,
vibe, So I was like, I always loved your photography, still do.
Well, I appreciate it, but like even then though, I was like, because I think on that deadline trip, I was like, oh shit, I'm going to be shooting Thai, and then we didn't really shoot all that much, and I don't remember. I don't think I really gave a fuck about anything at that point, but like I was like, yeah, I didn't really get anything. But like I always rationalize, like I did my best, I didn't really get anything, so it's not my fault. Like it is what it is, and I didn't really put any pressure on you. And then I was off, like I was like after the trip, I was like, I got kicked off, and I was like, all right, Jeff, you're up. And it makes sense. Like I was like, oh, if he wants to be filmed, that's cool. But also like I definitely had the little devil and thing, like he don't want that, but
I think I don't know, like those trips were either, like I think on any trip for myself, it's either very productive or slim to none, and that's just like the roll of the dice. It's not because of my interest or anything like that, but it was just I think that was one of those trips where shit just didn't line up. Yeah. For whatever reason. Yeah.
I guess maybe there was points where I was like, oh, he's being choosy or something like that. But
again, back to the extremely selective with like everything. Like I've always been very critical of like, every single little thing, to where I learned to slow down on doing this. But, any photographer or videographer I worked with around that time, especially, I'd be like, well, what do you think of that angle? You know what I mean? Like, which, as I learned, is pretty offensive. But, at the same time, most photographers and videographers received it well because I think they knew that I also was into it. You know? Yeah. So they're like, oh, you're not just some random dude that's like, no, it looks better over there, dude. Like, it's like, it's like, nah, dude, I kind of know what I'm talking about. And like, I'm not necessarily just telling you, hey, go shoot from over there, but like, yo, what do you think about that? Like, let's have a little like back and forth of like, let me hear your perspective on why you're here. Yeah. And maybe you could hear my perspective on why I think maybe it'll look better over there. Yeah. And then maybe I'll say, yeah, you were right.
And sometimes it's perception. I think maybe for just using the photographer, or even if it's the TM and you're like, no, I wasn't feeling this or whatever. And it's just like, it's how they accept it, like if they see it a certain way, it's always hard to perceive being on the receiving end. I'm thinking about my wife. She's like, you said it like a dick, or you're an asshole, and I was like, I didn't feel like I sounded like an asshole. Delivery. The delivery is huge, and so sometimes it can be hard.
I've learned about my lack of maybe professionalism and or sympathy in my delivery sometimes.
Sympathy is hard.
And my fiance has done a great job of explaining that to me. Yeah, you gotta work on it.
You're gonna suck at it for a while, don't worry.
She's helped me though. Like it's like still I catch myself and I'm like, I fucked up. But it's funny.
It's too real.
But then to
DeMarcus
circle back,
bro. Oh man,
I'm joking.
I look in that mirror. That mirror ain't no joke. It exposed a lot of stuff about yourself, and that mirror ain't necessarily the mirror you're looking in. It's the people around you, and they tell you
when you have someone that's around you damn near 24/7, and they start to like shed information on your personality, it's like it's a pretty good idea to listen.
It is. It's finding somebody you love and you care about the way they perceive you.
I asked Mike that the other day. We were out riding. I was like, we were just talking about a bunch of stuff, and I was like, what is something that you think I should work on? He was like, what do you mean? I was like, be honest. And he was like, you probably shouldn't let stuff that happened or something that somebody say get too deep to you. And I was like, oh, that's so hard to let go.
Yeah.
It's so hard because as soon as I think about doing it, I'm like, oh, I'm in this situation that I can completely not be in because I'm just letting some shit slide.
Yeah.
It's like, but realistically, it is practice. It's like it doesn't cost every situation, but realistically,
how many times has it gone the other way where you were like, oh, I'm gonna stand my ground right now, and then you kind of regret it?
Never, because I always stand my ground, and I will be wrong before I be naive. I'll take it and I'll apologize. Yeah. And that isn't a good way. I don't advise anybody to do it, but just based off of like the conversation, everything we're talking about, just not necessary experiences, but just a lot of the situation. If I feel like how I feel, then tell me I'm wrong. Prove it to me. So I'll be like, I'm so sorry. Like, I can apologize with no problem because I know that like my intentions of the situation will be like, I don't think I will always get stuff right, but I refuse to be naive. I will, and that is where it gets kind of tricky, where it's like, all right, bro, you can chill the fuck out because you're doing a little too much. And that's where I think I struggle with, where at home. But like in these situations of what we're talking about with you, like me being that way helped me see a lot of that all of us have, but I won't let it go. Like for an example, we was in Catalina not too long ago, me, Joey, Blake, on the last day, and we were sitting by at the dock, and this is kind of leading into a lot of stuff that we're talking about, like, and this lady walked by and she was like, you guys can't ride your bikes this way. So I'm have my back turned, and Joey just like,
yeah.
I didn't say anything, but Joey's like, huh? Like just looking like, what? And the lady's like, somebody almost hit my cat yesterday, and you guys can't ride your bike this way. And Joe's like, yeah, whatever. So I looked at Joe and was like, what? And I looked back and I was like, don't say anything. And I didn't say anything, which is good, but I couldn't let it go. I didn't say anything. I didn't go back. But when we started talking and something else came up, and I was like, you see, letting that go causes you to suffer, because not that you have to put this person in his place, but like we weren't even around. Like this person didn't even consider the situation. They only saw a bike and they assumed that we are going to do this. Yeah. This is why it's important. You think about what you say to people before you say it. Yeah. This doesn't mean that you're going to get it right every single time. Yeah. Exactly. But in all these situations, especially in a meeting, if you're in a meeting and you got some fool saying, call it this, call it that, and you're like, what? Like, why are you even in here? Like, how did I get myself in this situation? And you brush it off, you let it go. It's like you suffer from that.
I mean, in my experience, those meetings is ego, ideas, and like 2% activation. That's all that is. And people are trying to look good in front of other people. They have no intention of actually following through. They're going to fucking sit there and brainstorm and fucking power logic themselves to make look good, and they have no intention of actually doing the work.
The question would be, who's not doing it right? Would it be the person that's saying like call it pedophiles or something, or would it be like the people that are actually having the meeting with the meeting with the person that this is actually about? So when you have 3 people, let's say whoever else is around, in any kind of situation, if they're having a meeting with Ty, this meeting is about Ty, not about like, there should be no reason why certain things should be pushed over or things should be gotten about. Every single word said in that meeting is supposed to be taken seriously, because if you say something on the internet, that get taken seriously. People chime in things that people don't know about, but like when you're in a meeting, like why shouldn't, I'm not saying you, but just in general, like these things are so important that like they go home with you. They come off on our kids, our significant others, our parents, like all this stuff.
On that topic of just like how it comes off and stuff, and how these like seemingly little and stupid things, like they do kind of eat at you. It's like this post, you know, like you said, it's like nearly 130,000 people have seen it at this point, right? According to Instagram. I've had a generally positive response. Like majority of people have been like, yeah, bro, stand on business, fucking defend your name, whatever. There have been, I think notably, one pro, Felix, that like commented something slightly controversial to what I was saying, which is whatever.
Contradicting.
Yeah. And, you know, kind of just taking the brand side and ultimately what I think is giving a brainwashed opinion. Like, I've been in your position, dude. I've been told so many times that this company doesn't have any money, blah, blah, blah. Things are tight, et cetera, et cetera. End of the day, dude, like, what they've done to riders and, like, the way they've gone about it is so distasteful to everyone that's ever been in my position. It all started with Stevie, with the Fireball tire. They got away with it then, and they've just done it to every single rider since. Every signature product. I've had so many people that have hit me up like, they did this to me at We the People, they did this to me at radio, they did this to me here, there. Like, any company that's under We Make Things has like done a similar move to what they did with my tire to another rider. People have gotten it confused, thinking like, oh yeah, you're just trying to get whatever money they owe you, which is like, again, those lines are so fucking blurred, dude. They sent me like numbers on what my tire was actually selling at one point and like told me the exact amount that I was getting and stuff like that, like once. And it just like, how do I trust these numbers? Like, how do I know my tire didn't sell 20,000 versus what you're saying is 2,000? It's like, I'm getting tags every single day. Anytime I go to the skate park, I see my tire. It's like, I see it out. It's around.
And that's just in your general area.
Exactly.
So just imagine around the world, yeah.
And people around the world are tagging me with it and stuff. So it's like, I don't know. It's hard to trust on that stuff, especially from a company that has such a lack of trust. Mm-hmm. So to go from like the numbers never really being clear to, all right, now we're just going to completely take your design, rename it, because we're hurting so bad. We can't afford the loss on the mold. It's like, bro, bullshit.
So what do you say to you obviously don't have to say anything to the people, but like to the people that make the point about like maybe you should have gone over your contract or maybe gone about this in a legal form. Like what's the first thing that come to mind for you for that?
I mean, in my sense, the one takeaway, I was like, you DM them, they DM'd you. I'm like, who the fuck does business on Instagram? That's like, honestly, that was like that was my fucking takeaway. I was like,
so it obviously went beyond that.
Yeah,
like,
of course.
You know, there's a bit of backstory to it, and I admittedly didn't reply to a couple emails.
Yeah.
Because they were frankly pissed me off.
Yeah.
Were offensive. Affected my mental health at the time. At that point, I was just like, I'm done with this shit anyways. Fuck you guys.
Yeah.
Like, the last trip I went on with them, they had us all fucking sleeping on metal cots. Like, pull out metal mattresses. I couldn't sleep the first night. Went to Costco the next morning. Bought a fucking bed. Rocked the bed the whole trip. Returned the bed on the last day of the trip.
Yeah.
And I did that simply to stand up for my name, because I know if the people see a lack of footage from me in this video because I didn't get sleep, because I got poor sleep,
yeah,
it's going to affect me ultimately.
Yeah.
So standing up for myself, I went and got myself a bed. Meanwhile, the team manager's sleeping in a private bedroom on a fucking queen size mattress. Like, good mattress, you know? So it's just like whack shit like that to, on that same trip, hearing how they were fucking Julian over, and then right after that trip, him getting dropped from the brand. Just like one thing after another, I was just like, just done with this shit.
Yeah.
They emailed me. Our last conversation was, hey, we can continue to do things the way they are now. We'll let your tires sell out for this last batch that we made. We'll pay you for what sold. At that point, we'll make our statement. We'll go our separate ways. I didn't respond to the email because I figured they basically told me, hey, if you don't do it, if you don't respond, because at this point I already wasn't responding. I was over their shit. Wasn't getting paid. I don't need to talk to you guys. So at that point, they said, if you don't respond, we're just going to sell out of what we have and make the statement at the end. Whatever.
Yeah, that makes
So
it.
I said, okay, sounds good. Not going to reply. Fuck you guys.
Yeah,
I don't want to
because
talk to you.
not saying something was saying something.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's like, you guys told me what was going to happen.
Yeah.
You said, if I don't respond, this will happen. That's not what happened. So then I start getting like random tags of like Morrow tire. They kind of started popping up again out of nowhere. And the first couple, I'm like, whatever. And then I like noticed this like different graphic. Excuse me. I'm like, what the fuck is this? And they always pushed for like a name for the tire. Like, oh, let's name it something.
And they
All my
probably do
signature
that.
parts, I made sure with them especially, it's Morrow bar, Morrow tire. That's a Morrow product.
If your name's not on it, then it becomes a general product if they want to sell it. Yeah.
Stevie Churchill Fireball tire. Everyone knows it's Stevie's tire.
Mm-hmm.
It never had its name on it. That's the OG product they fucked the rider over on. They still sell it to this day.
It never had his name on it?
Never. No.
Fireball.
People think it got taken off, but it was never on there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mandela effect.
So, that being said, wanted to protect my shit. Didn't ever let them name it. I see this like new logo. I'm like, what is this shit? And it's weird Eclaw script font. So I hit them up, say, what's up with this? Just DM them on Instagram at that point.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I'm not going formal. I'm not going to. The other part of this was when I got onto the brand, I spoke to Paul Robinson.
Mm-hmm.
He was the team manager, right? Then it was this dude Fu, and then it was like Dave's like filling in, who's like the product guy. And then like ultimately it's all up to Rob, who's the owner of We Make Things or whatever. So it's like getting all these different channels of people that I'm trying to talk to. So I don't even know who the fuck to email about this. 2 years later, nearly. Yeah. Right after this initial email of, hey, we'll let your shit sell.
So was there a period where there was no, like, the tire? You just thought you saw your original tire, and it was
just
like
the remnants.
Yeah, and then
I thought anything that was being like, if I would get a random mention from a shop picking up the tire, it was still the old graphic.
Yeah,
which is the multicolor graphic, the one.
Yeah.
I didn't design that graphic, but I approved it.
Yeah,
Yeah. So then I randomly start getting a tag here and there, but it was like just a tread or something like that. And then I saw a tag that had the graphic, and I'm not like going to their website to check my products and shit if they're still on the website. Like a lot of this stuff with BMX, when it comes to like my actual career, like I honestly try to just like tune out of and nearly forget at this point.
Yeah.
Because it's such a huge part of my life that when I actually do focus energy on it, most of the time it leads to depression. Mm-hmm. So I try to kind of protect my peace and not focus in too much on this shit. Mm-hmm. So I see this tag and I'm like, damn, what the fuck was this new graphic? Like, are they really pulling this shit? Like, are they just kind of keep selling my tire? Like, even though there's nothing here clearly, So I hit them up, say, hey, what's up with this? Send them a screenshot. Next day, message seen. Wait a couple days, no response. Same day that I hit the Eclaw Instagram up, I also hit up Paul. Paul messaged me back, I think the next day, and was like, hey, like, I don't know. I don't deal with the product stuff. Fair enough. Whatever, bro. Not your court. So I wait 10 days. Still no response from Eclaw. No email.
Do you feel like that maybe that's retaliation from you not replying?
No response. Of course it is. It's some petty bullshit, right? And the whole entire thing is petty bullshit of like, okay, so you didn't respond. We're just going to do whatever the fuck we want. We'll continue to make money off of your product. Right.
Where a lot of people I saw chime in at coming at you about like, well, you didn't do this. You didn't. It's like, well, me and good old Brad, I call him Bradley Bradshaw, But Brad Sims, we talked a little bit about it. Obviously, I didn't comment on anything, but like watching it, Brad made an extremely good point. He said, it doesn't matter if a person reply. If you send a person a contract and they tell you they don't want to sign it, and you send them another one, and it's like you just sign it for them, it's like you can't do these things. You can't move forward with going through with something that's already been understood.
I think explicitly that if you have a signature product, unless the rider signs off on it, it shouldn't continue after they're no longer.
I think
part
it's
of the
pretty
brand.
simple,
and I think it should. If it does, then there needs to be an agreement on royalties. And if the person doesn't agree,
though,
then
right?
that's it. And we make things works with me. So if that pisses them off, then I am sorry, but like that is what I think, and that should be the normal
because
in
I
BMX,
think it
not
is
the exception.
The normal outside of their house, outside of their building. I think it's majority.
But like, what about
like,
like I swear Instagram didn't even wouldn't feed me all the comments. Like you click new comments and you're like, I've seen this shit. You scroll down, but like there was one where it was like the tech grip for fit. It was a D-Heart grip. Is that they renamed it after he left? I think
I didn't even see that one.
I think it does happen. I think it does happen, but I think maybe people just don't care, or maybe there isn't.
That's literally what
I don't know.
It do come back down to the person and if they see it and care or not. And I think a lot of the times when it do happen, a lot of people don't care to like talk about it or point it out.
Yeah.
And when you do point these things out, you got to look at the history of it. It's like it's easy to deem maybe something about a person that's hard to work with, or a person that may have like a different approach to maybe how things normally function. Like you guys dealt with it together about like, I want Z to shoot it, and given the time period, how things were handled, it seemed as if maybe it was a little like maybe you were difficult, but realistically, it was just like, I was into it because I wanted this medium format. So when that, and what's so cool about the situation, because we get to talk about it now, but going through it, and even sometimes when we maybe know better, that more context is way more important, such as your favorite word, what's it? Semantics.
Oh, sorry.
People, I'll have to lean back into that word a lot, because a lot of people like brush off the important details to make these problems not even be a problem at all.
Yeah.
Because you get to talk years and years later that like, oh, you're into videography, you're into photography. This is like generally the reason why, but the delivery probably was like maybe like, maybe I'm wrong. But in this situation in particular, if we talk about like even reaching out to Paul himself, and he's like, well, I have nothing to do with the parts department or all this stuff, and it's like, great. So you don't. So you need to get me in touch with who do. That doesn't mean that's your job, but this is how I felt about it too. Frankly, this is so important.
I think Paul was wishing he had the power of hindsight to do that and avoid that post. I'm sure
because to be clear that like obviously with them being supporter of ourbmx, this shouldn't cause an issue. What it should cause is like, if there is any kind of problem, the best thing you can do in this situation is to learn how to figure it out and learn how to like talk through it, or like you can say that you had all these intentions to not do something a certain way, but you still move forward with it. You didn't deny not doing it. You didn't say, well, we didn't do. No, it's obvious. Like you said, but like the company said, oh, well, you didn't reply to us. You didn't do that. I read some of it, but it's like, well, you still went forward with doing the product. It doesn't matter how much it costs.
Yeah,
it literally doesn't matter. Like,
is that the correct move? Like,
but
yeah, I guess that's the,
where it gets tricky is like the fine print. The fine print may be tricky, and that may be to the side of like business, which is fair enough. But realistically, it's like, Ronnie Chalk told me this a few years ago.
Ronnie Chalk.
That's
a good one.
Ronnie Chalk told me this a few years ago. And he said that a lot of what he learned about this thing that we all love is that it's a lot of high fives and handshakes. Mm-hmm. If you start making decisions based off of that, you are doomed. And generally what I got out of what he was saying is like, we're living and learning and watching your situation about you expressing yourself. So because of the high five and handshake, you get in contact and the person say, well, I don't know who's. It's like, that to me is right there. That to me is like, well, that's like a high five and handshake. You don't care enough to solve this problem, because I'm asking you. This is something you're directly affiliated with.
Yeah.
If somebody called me about something that I'm affiliated with and they want to know, and if it has nothing to do with me, I'm gonna be like, well, I'm gonna see who. Like, I'm gonna go like call them or talk to them right now. I'm gonna go over here to this parts department and do whatever I got to do to solve whatever it is. Because if it doesn't have anything to do with Paul's job or accountability in his situation should be like, how does this make me look? In a situation with, like, when I came at Albert about the post about the thing, I was like, did you post? And he was like, oh, well, Ryan did. And I was like, well, I don't want to be.
And then Albert came to me.
Yeah, Albert came to you. And it's like,
yeah.
The thing is, like, nobody wants to really cause issues, but what a lot of people don't want to do is take the blame or take the account for the situation.
Yeah.
It's like,
and the reality is that it could have passed through fucking somebody who didn't even work at a claw.
It could
at
have,
that
yeah.
point when you rode for them, and then they made the decision, and it's like. But there should be a check. Yeah. There should be a check and a balance to make sure that, like, hey, is this the right move?
Dudes.
But this comment is one that was in your string, and I thought it was like it summed up the situation rather well. So I'm an engineer working in non-BMX industries. If I work for a company, and I assume here that by being a sponsored rider, you're an employee or a contractor. If I design a product, the product is owned by the employer, even if I leave, unless a prior contractual agreement is in place. That being said, your name, like your brand, not theirs, being your brand being Ty Morrow, is your own intellectual property, and they should cease using it unless contractually agreed with you for a set period. Now, let's hypothetically assume that a claw had a batch of tires molded out but not printed, and a claw decided to change their logo branding. You have no say in that unless contractually owned in the IP, the intellectual property for the tire, and are licensing to a claw to manufacture it. While morally, this is distastefully, legally, it could be complicated. The right thing to do is seek legal advice and try to resolve the issue. So the idea is that legally, it's legal, of course. Morally,
I don't have a contract for the product, et cetera, et cetera.
Morally, is it how things should run? Probably not.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's the gist of it. I
don't know if you saw my story post.
Did you show the inside of the tire?
Yeah.
Oh, and it still had the Morrow.
Well,
yeah.
So that was one thing, but I think the day or 2 days before that, because I randomly got sent that.
I saw your like shit list for the top 3 shit.
Well, there was
that was pretty good.
I think I posted another one after that. It was like a kind of lengthy paragraph about how it's not for money, basically.
Oh yeah,
like, this isn't about money and all this shit. I don't know if it was in that or if it was just in another response that I got or gave to someone or whatever. But long story short, the whole point I'm trying to make here is that this is freestyle BMX. Remember, like, not many people in the game are making more than $500 per month per company.
Yeah.
Even less people have signature products to go along with those checks that are more than $500 a month. So when you're in that position, you're in a pretty vulnerable state, essentially.
Yeah.
And when you're relying on that money to pay rent, to pay for your life, to continue to ride and make these videos and stuff, you don't want to lose it.
Yeah.
It's your livelihood, literally. So
it'd almost be better if they gave his tire to somebody else on the team. Like,
it almost,
what
it would almost be better is you say, if instead of giving me a signature product, how about just don't give me a signature product and just pay me a little bit more?
That's where you've been.
It literally solves the problem. But having a signature product to a degree is fine. They say, we'll give you a percentage on this signature product, and that can help make up for some of the money that I can't give you right now. It's like, well, why make something? How about I promote what you already have?
And I'm sorry, Garrett, but where do you end up? Because this is what happened with Fiend. How do you feel about it going from you have a good salary and you have signature product, you've had royalties from that signature product for years, then all of a sudden 1 year just stops. No more royalties from any of your signature product. Because that's what we dealt with Fiend, and the excuse was, we're doing this so that we can continue to pay you guys. But in turn, everyone's making less money. So we kept our monthly check the exact same, but completely lost our royalties for all product.
But you still had signature products.
Signature products, yeah.
Yeah, because yours there's no signature products in play.
So that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
This is a third situation to the whole situations in BMX here.
Yeah.
Of like, okay, yeah, there's the decent check with the part, and then there's the better check, no parts. And then there's the third category of like, yeah, you got top of the game check plus signature parts.
Royalties,
but then all of a sudden
No
the signature
royalties.
parts are just gone.
Yeah.
Just like out of nowhere, and the excuse is that, hey, it's so that we can continue to pay you guys your baseline salary.
The best thing to do in that situation, when I think about it, is to show proof. Like, paperwork solves all that. Like, it's easy to talk about it,
which I asked for. Yeah.
Well, I'll say the solution is if I'm trying to figure out this sentence without sounding like an asshole, but
No,
like
go for it.
But like in the fucking shark world, if you don't like the fucking deal, go get a better deal. Mm-hmm. Right? Like that's the reality of, hey, if you think you can do better somewhere else, go get a better fucking deal.
That's what it comes down to with all the companies.
Yeah. And so
is the leverage they have.
And it's like fucking brutal, you know. Owning a company is brutal too. I'm sure stresses. I'm sure the
sympathy for him for
romantic
being in that position, and I'm not hating on having to do it.
Yeah,
but they're just using that as an example.
My situation, that was a part of me leaving.
Yeah.
Like that was like there's so many things that led to that decision, you know. But yeah, it's basically 10 to 12 years of kind of butting heads, and then all right, this is kind of the final straw.
Yeah. And I would assume at that point that you were like, I'm no longer a professional bike rider. I mean, you said the bands.
Exactly.
Yeah. It was like, because
at that point I'm done. That was that statement that I got made fun of for
let's hear it.
Using ChatGPT on this podcast, by the way. So I've never had an agent. I've never had anyone that's helped me guide my career in any sense.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I've tried to get 2 different agents.
Yeah.
Didn't work out. Right? I made that statement with nothing but the best intentions.
Yeah.
I wrote out a very lengthy statement.
Yeah.
Would have been fine. Would have been perfectly acceptable.
Keep that thought. Everything he's saying right now, think about it. If you think about it, it's like he made sure the headphones in check.
Yeah.
Every single thing. And when what usually happens is that from the outside looking in, don't forget what you were just saying. From the outside looking in, it's easy to say how or what something is when you don't really know, because a lot of people don't know these particular things about you or how particular you are about a lot of things. But I do think sometimes a lot of people, even including myself, could probably say something without not even thinking twice about it. It's like, oh wait, like I probably should. But when you because
I know from Dennis's perspective, he was on that ChatGPT shit at that point. Like he was using it, and then it was just a well put together statement. So it wasn't necessarily meant to be like offensive, but like
there's no excuse for that though.
But let's bring it back to delivery.
Zero excuse.
I'm glad that I didn't say anything stupid.
Well, that's the plus side to it, because like saying something stupid doesn't deem you as like a bad person. Just more so
insensitive,
insensitive, but like just inconsiderate. But when now bringing it back to light, and it's like, oh, this is what I mean by being naive and being wrong. It's like I'd rather be wrong all day than to be naive. So if I'm wrong, then it's like, oh, you know what, like I was right because I thought you were using ChatGPT. My bad, bro. I'm so sorry. It's like then you can kind of like not necessarily recover, but you can make it make sense because of that you didn't understand or you thought otherwise. Doesn't make it that you will catch all of those times, but
so I came at him with a little bit heavier energy after he said the statement about he said chat CBD.
Yeah, that was so funny.
And then he followed it up with, I know he's smart, but but he's not that smart.
Oh shit. Yeah. All right. Yeah.
Dennis?
So yeah, no, it's run it back.
Come on, Dennis.
It's like he's smart, but and that might not be an exact verbatim quote.
Yeah.
But it's basically along the lines of like, hey, I know the guy's smart, but he's not that smart, right?
Come on, Dennis.
About a month prior to that,
clip this clip. He better watch this.
about a month prior to that,
Fuck.
I sent him a text message and I said, how would you feel if Sean McKinney killed himself?
Oh fuck.
Yeah. Because you fucking called him out on the podcast, and now there's fucking hundreds of people that are telling me he's a piece of shit and he's lazy.
Yeah.
Because, bro, I fucking have been in Ricani's shoes. I've dealt with my own mental health issues. And I think it's really fucked up for someone to call someone out like that and be like, hey, you don't put in the work, you ain't gonna get the money. My man put in work since he's fucking 12 years old, bro. He's one of the best bike riders that's ever touched the fucking earth. To say that and to be like, hey, that is why it didn't work out for you, is because you didn't put in the work, is really, really fucked up. And I stand on that.
Yeah.
That's the reason why I currently don't talk to Dennis.
But you were down to do the podcast with Dennis, just for the record, because you
For
said
the record, because at this point,
just for the record.
I live in San Diego and I'm gonna cross paths with the dude.
Yeah.
So why not do it on his podcast?
Yeah.
At this point,
Yeah.
and it's like, yeah.
Yeah, just throwing
Let's
that
talk
out there.
about it.
Dennis
Like, let's
Dennis
talk about
leaves
it.
on a trip tomorrow. He's
Yeah.
fucking he actually already is on a trip. So.
Yeah, and it would have been
Yeah.
here as
Yeah.
well. But it's like,
Yeah.
that really, like, kind of, those two interactions honestly fucked with me a lot.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of like, damn, dude, this is how people feel. It's like, this is how people feel in BMX. Like, fuck BMX. Fuck this whole fucking industry. Because this is generally how people feel. And this post gave me another little taste of that. Of like, yeah, there are a lot of fucking idiots out there that will take something with zero perspective and fucking weigh their opinion on it and say some really foul ass shit to you, bro. Like, it's like, I've had, like I said, mainly good response on that post, but there have been about 5 of them that have like said some pretty just like fucked up and weird shit.
Yeah.
The most recent one actually stemmed like 2 days ago, and the guy said, you're spoiled, bro. Time to put the fries in the bag. Which is so stupid.
The fucking
you know?
internet.
And it's like, fuck it, dude. Like, you're an idiot, you know, like, you're not worth my time. I'm not going to repost you as a crash out. The guy previous to that, like, that said some stupid shit. I told him, like, hey, sorry, man, story reposts aren't free anymore. They're going to start at $100. You know?
He was like going for it.
Because I kind of started to like be like, man, people are just messaging me to like get like
Some
a
kinda-
screenshot on my fucking story or
yeah.
something at this point, you know, which like I thought was funny. But so that guy, the more recent one, I was like, I'm not going to message him back, but I'm just going to like call him. So I was up actually late last night. I was up at like 3 a.m. I just called this fool, right? Just to fuck with him, just to like see if he would answer. Didn't answer. So then this morning, he's like, bro, why are you crashing out on 3 o'clock in the morning? Fucking get off the bag, bro, and all this bullshit. And I was just like, all right, so I'm gonna call you back. So I called him again. Bro answers the phone
Scary.
with an AR-15 in his passenger seat.
What the fuck?
Yeah. And he's just pointing the camera at the AR-15. He's like, what's up, bro? You want to call me? You want to call me a bunch of times? Like all this shit. And it's like, you're fucking ridiculous, bro.
Yeah. That's the type of human that you're dealing with.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that situation, though, I kind of was just like, all right, that was fucking stupid. I'm not trying to watch my back at the next jam that some fucking next domestic terrorist is going to fucking shoot me in the head or some bullshit. Yeah. So let me message this dude and be like, hey, man, like, you know, sorry if we got off on the wrong foot. Seems like you got a pretty fucked up perspective of who I am.
Yeah.
And he like messaged me back saying a bunch of shit or whatever. And then end of it, we were like, yeah, bro, respect on both sides. But to go from like, you said some stupid shit to like, we're FaceTiming your AR-15 to like, all right, man, you're not so bad after all.
You know
like,
what's so
have
funny?
a good life. You know, it's like, this is the fucking internet, dude. Like, this is the era that we're living in. And it's like, I felt so stupid for like, even giving this guy like the time of day, all that shit, whatever the
giving
fuck.
him a thread.
That's the thing.
It's like, at the same time, dude, it's like, come on, man. Like, this shit's fucking annoying. And it's like, as much as I want to just ignore you and block every count that says something negative, it's just like, same time, you gotta like say something back.
Well, the last thing you want to hear is when you're going through something and you're publicly sharing it, is for somebody to like attack you for your story, your actual situation. And the part about being insensitive, where let's say even a guy that would come in and drop some kind of like logical knowledge about like how to go by it, it's like, that's not the point. And I read Felix's comment and I had a lot of time to look at it and think about it. And it's like, I don't think anything he was saying was wrong, but in the position of how it's delivered and what is what the point of why, it's like, what? Like, this, like, you're not even getting the point. Like, you literally aren't even looking at what is actually said here. This isn't a made up story. It's not like somebody like thought of something out of the blue and said something. It's like literally something that's happening. Now, how both sides proceed to go about that is up to them, but sharing the story and giving your perspective is literally that. That's not up for judgment. And well, I can't say it's not for judgment. It's not up for like a debate.
The factual.
This is literally what happened. And I think that because most of us guys and like in the things that we're involved in, we can see like, whoa, we can look at both sides. And it's like, I can look at like a side where me and Joe would butt heads about like what a rider make and all this kind of stuff, but logically we know we can come to an understanding that that's not even an issue. But realistically, it's like, well, you can't tell me nothing about making $300 if you ain't made $300 from riding a bike. You can't tell me nothing about it. I can't tell you anything about being a photographer working for a company.
That's maybe why I don't talk about making money.
So realistically, it's like I'm arguing with you about something I lived that you didn't. That doesn't mean that the point of that it could have been handled a certain way could have been different.
I think
so.
Yeah.
What it turns into is like I'm sharing a part of myself, of my experience, and you have other people that have similar experiences. So when you share this and somebody give their perspective and saying, well, maybe you didn't do, it's like, it doesn't matter what I didn't do, because even if we go off of like the high five handshake and it's like, well, you should have signed a contract. Well, I didn't, so they can just do what they want. The point is like, this is what's happening. I'm not here for you to tell me that I did something wrong when literally this is actually what happened. Yeah. So that's where it gets to me, where it's like, oh, okay, like you.
I think from the, like if imagine if you weren't here and this was the news podcast and we were talking about it, and it's just like, you fucking take a sip of this shit and you say some fucking words, and it's so like what you're talking about, with Ricani, like that fucking hit pretty hard, because it was like, all right, I'm a fucking idiot, like, of course, but like Dennis almost has. Dennis is Dennis, like Dennis is Dennis is what I'm saying is like, where I'm just,
no excuse,
I'm just a comment. No, I'm saying it's more, I'm saying it's more important what he says. Because he's Dennis.
So that was, I didn't just call him out
industry
and say like,
fuckboy
hey,
or something, whatever, industry sympathizer. I think I've heard on the internet, and so when I say something, it is one thing, but when Dennis says something, and it's a responsibility that both of us have, that we are 100% capable of getting wrong, and we'll read the situation wrong, or we won't think about it dynamically, and we'll fuck up, and right. It's a hard role to play sometimes.
Fun fact.
Yeah.
And credit to Dennis on the whole thing. But with Ricani, when I said that, he did respond very openly, thanked me for the criticism, etc. Him and Ricani went on to have a phone call that same day. They were trying to three-way me into the conversation. That started off with them screaming at each other.
I remember this. Yeah, you told me about this.
2 hours later, they're best friends.
Yeah.
right? So
I mean, that was how Ricky
that transition in that
way to do it,
right?
Dennis.
That was great.
Yeah.
Props to Dennis.
Yeah.
Way to do it, Dennis.
But then when he fucking like 2 weeks later, a month later, whatever it is, said the shit he did about me the way he did,
It's like
it was kind of just like, bro, I just told you before, and then you did it to me, and then now is when I'm gonna tell you to go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
Which is what I said via text, and then basically we haven't talked since.
Yeah.
So yeah,
fair enough.
That proof to the situation of like, that was a whole roller coaster of stuff you explained about, like we use like the Rick situation, Dennis responds, and what you said to him, and then I go and talk about the situation. There's no like pass for Dennis to get away with, you know, the action or whatever, for us to talk about all this other stuff, then to bring back up and it's like what he did. They had the conversation. That's like that is how it works. Like that's, you know, like, okay, cool.
Yeah, you
like,
hammer shit out.
Well,
you try to.
You hammer it out, and
yeah.
that's where I'm like, oh, dang, like that's sick. Then it's like that's real cool, and then it goes back into like what happened with you, and it's like, damn.
Yeah, I just think you guys are like,
come on, man,
too far apart on personalities. Where like you put all that effort in, and then he just fucking like kind of clowned on it, and then made a joke, and he just didn't understand that. Yeah, this is you saying goodbye after riding for your best friend's company for fucking 12
years. And
it
essentially started how to say in every step of the way, et cetera, et cetera.
And that's...
I tried to show my respect and admiration to everyone on the crew, et cetera, et cetera.
And it was just a fucking misstep, you know. And I'm glad I didn't play a role in it. Apparently,
like,
it's good being on the outside.
Because usually I'm the one that says the dumb shit. So
at this point, it's long overdue to settle the score
dumb.
with Dennis, I guess you could say. But yeah, it's just like,
I don't think he really.
I don't really care that much, and I know he doesn't really think about it either. But it's just like, that was said on the pod, so I feel like, I don't know.
Yeah.
While we're on the topic, you know, it's like I should mention, like, hey man,
it's okay to care though.
My name kind of got shared in a way I didn't like on this podcast, and like that was a part of the reason why I didn't want to come on it for so long.
Yeah, makes sense.
Because I was like, like it's cool, but I don't really want to support that shit because I feel like it can be like negative towards some like riders' mental health and shit like that, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's within a certain range of time as well, where I was closely related to the people that were being talked about.
Yeah.
Not to say the pod as a whole is that. Got hella respect
that
to
was
the
a
pod.
fucked up time period.
As I've said before, I think what you're doing is great.
Yeah.
But just during that time, it was sensitive for me.
Yeah.
So it was like, I was at that time literally FaceTiming Rick probably twice a day.
Yeah.
Like every single day.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I think the everything you're talking about is extremely important because it forces people to face those things.
Yeah, I take it to heart when I hear that shit, of course. And you can reach out to me at any point too. Like I know you and I feel like we've always been cool and we always like bullshit about more camera shit more than anything else. We've gone through
so many random things together. It's so funny.
Yeah. You think they're like, I'm like, at what point was I in your house in North Carolina?
Remember when we stayed together in the hotel room? It's for like one of the detours. And then we got kicked out of the hotel room because of the fight.
Because of my fight.
Yeah,
sorry about that.
No, it's all good. It's all good. Bowen fucking let us stay in his room. Like he was like across the hall or something. He like came out and was like, "What the fuck's going on?" And then we like got kicked out right afterwards. He's like, "You guys can stay over here if you want." Like, he's like, "Okay." Shit was wild.
Lost my shoes.
Did you guys get in a fight in Russia?
No, we weren't in Russia. That was when Jed beat me up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was trying to think of that guy's name earlier.
Yeah.
Jed
Mildon. 4 backflips, the motherfucker did.
Oh, that was that dude. Who was his like sidekick?
Nick.
His sidekick.
Because there was like the punk rock guy.
His name is Nick. That's another Australian dude. Yeah.
Nice.
So
my question for Ty is 35-year-old Ty now. Looking back over your span of not just your BMX career, but like just Ty in general, Tyler, what is something that you would tell your younger self? You don't have to be, it could be whatever. You don't have to be anything, anything. What would you tell your younger self?
I think I've thought about this one a few times. ironically. I think maybe it's natural to do that. But, and I debate this answer because instinctively I say don't take it so seriously, right? But then I regress on that and say, well, would any of this have happened had I not have taken it so seriously? You know what I mean? So it's like, it's hard to say, really. Like, I don't know. I think maybe like really value each and every one of those friendships, because at 35 I can name my friends like maybe right here on one hand, like if one hand, you know what I'm saying? So it's like true friends, you know? So I think valuing each and every relationship a little bit more would have been like better in the long run, I guess you could say.
Mm-hmm.
Like, not to say I didn't, like I've always loved my friends, but there's some that, you know, we have drifted apart, which is also just natural to getting older. But yeah, really, like, I don't know, so many times now I just look back and I'm like, holy fuck, we didn't know how good we had it. Like, you know, it's like I think about the days where we would go out in LA and like Gabe was at the session, Nair was at the session, like Boy was at the session, Steve-O was at the session, like all these homies from like different generations, different places in the world, etc., were all there, and we were all like on the same wave of energy and shit. And it's like, I think when you're in it and you have like a task at hand, you do kind of like overlook how rare that relationship actually is. And I think as you get older and you do drift apart from those people, you start to really remember and like get perspective of like, holy fuck, dude,
what a special time it was.
No one has these connections.
Mm-hmm.
Like people that are in the streets together, like doing this mission together, there's maybe if you're in fucking war,
dude, it's so like, it is so
maybe if you're in fucking war,
it is
but like
so funny you
there's
said
not
that.
I don't think anywhere that has the kind of actual camaraderie that we get in these streets.
Yeah.
I
have become friends with a dude that, you know, is in the military, like in one of those, you know, like upper echelon type things, gnarly dude, and we have bonded over certain parallels like that. You know, I was thinking it and I wasn't going to say it because it's
a dramatic comparison.
Yeah,
of course.
and it's so different and it's so gnarly, but in the sense of like, you know, even just losing people and stuff like that. You know, he's like, oh, when was the last time one of your friends died? You know, and it's like, we're pretty fucking close. Like it happens, you know, people that I know pass away on a very regular basis that I've had real experiences with, and I would, you know, answer the phone if they picked up and fucking bullshit with them. Yeah. And it's wild. It is wild. And it as you get older, you do cherish those things more, and you realize like, oh, that was a fucking cool ass time period. Yeah. And you try and flash back to it as much as you can. You know,
it's wild. Like, you know, I've
not caring.
That part. But then I was just gonna say, like, it's wild. Like it's never been my job to document, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I've always done it.
Yeah.
I have collections of hard drives.
Yeah.
And like going through those hard drives now, like I was like trying to find a random file sometime in the last 6 months and like dug up some old hard drives and like, yeah, I found a clip where it was Augie's old dog Cash, Gabe, and Rick Scott.
Yeah.
All in the same clip.
Yeah.
And it's like iconic dog and like two of my best homies ever.
Yeah.
Like in this clip that like, I think Steve-O filmed it, but it was on my like tape or whatever, you know, so I captured it and I like cried like seeing the clip, but it's just like, fuck, dude, this is crazy. Like so wild. Like these people come and go and like, you don't fully appreciate it in the moment, I think, most of the time.
I early memory. I mean, I don't know how old I was, maybe 12, 13. And my granddad, he was like maybe 75, 78 at the time, older. And I was like, where are your friends? You know? And he's like, I don't have any.
Yeah.
He's like, they all died.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm the last one left. Like,
Well,
I just remember it like,
Yeah, dude, it's crazy.
I was like, 13 years old, like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, holy shit.
Wow,
like, and I'm
Yeah.
like,
And I feel, again, shout out to my fiance, because I feel so fortunate to have like a best friend like that.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It seems from what you post online and just how you guys like, I don't know, resonate off of each other. If that even makes sense. But like, I could see it like just through social media, like just how well connected you guys are. So it's cool to see. I have more questions. I could be like I could be kind of semi rapid fire. I don't know if you want to keep going. We're deep right now, but
Well,
I'm
like,
here as
I mean,
long
like
as you
deep,
guys wanna
like,
be here,
yeah.
So.
well, I say, that question got us a lot.
Yeah.
In the sense of
Yeah,
that was a
great
fucking
question.
fantastic question, DeMarcus.
so to go parallel with that, what would 35-year-old Ty say to his future self?
Fucking Demo. It's a good question, but fuck, dude.
Deep.
You need
Well,
to-
the
written-
idea, it forces you to
Yeah.
like it's on the spot because we
On-
can
on the
think.
contrary.
Yeah. But it's current though. We're all here right now, and
Yeah.
you're 35 right now, and you thought about
I'm
past.
trying to think about it.
There's no right
what my
answer, but
would be.
I think like I try and remind myself of this as often as possible, and I think it's going to be something that I probably have to remind myself of for the rest of my life, but it's basically the same thing, which is just to not take it so seriously. Because like currently I'm like basically living off of like prior investments and shit, like stock market here and there type of shit. So I'm transitioning from being this professional rider into whatever the fuck is next.
Yeah.
Whether it's Trip miraculously becomes the next fucking Kith and I'm got the greatest clothing company in the world, some dream come true, or I do, a production company and I'm scoring awesome commercial deals with big companies or whatever the fuck, like that's the dream, but right now I'm in that transition period and it's really hard to not be like really hard on yourself. So I think day to day I'm like, fuck, I gotta figure this out. Like, what am I gonna do? I don't have like a particular thing that I'm actually working on every single day outside of like maybe random ideas for Trip and like random shit that I have to do to like pay the bills, to live, move money here and there, whatever. But currently being in this position, I really don't know what the future is. So I constantly have to remind myself of just like, I don't know, remember that it's not that serious and we're just fucking dust, like essentially. Like we're literally specks in the wind. Like at the end of it, it's like, if I'm lucky, I'll get 100 years, and I'm at 35 now. So it's like, I should really appreciate every day. Like, I think that's what I would want to like tell my future self, is just appreciate every single day, because literally we all know it could end fucking in a second, dude. Like driving down the road and some drunk idiot T-bones you or whatever the fuck, and so it's like, that's I think if anything I would say that just basically the same thing. Previous self, like, hey man, don't be so hard on yourself, have fun with it, have a little more fun with it, appreciate your friends. Future self, just like, yo, remember it's really not that serious. Like, you can, my grandfather like has like, his name is very, very strong. Like, he really built something out of nothing, and the world and industry that he was in, he's very, very respected. So like I've kind of always held myself to that same standard, which is why this entire Eclaw thing was so like important to me as well. Of like, hey man, like this is my shit. This is my last name. This is my grandfather. Like I'm not just doing this for me. Like you're disrespecting my entire family by doing this, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of like where I took that to make it like a little more personal, unfortunately. But it means a lot to me. So yeah.
It felt, I mean, what you wrote felt like it was more, an insult. I felt like it is how you came
much.
across. Yeah. And so it's valid.
And
you're allowed to do that.
I admitted to my own arrogance in my little paragraph that I wrote of just like, I said, hey, I kind of went into this whole thing of like, they wouldn't dare do that shit to me.
Yeah.
How wrong was I? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
so. Great question.
I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, I think if you've really hung out with me and like really seen like the side of me that's like passionate, then I don't know, like, how serious I am about my stuff. And like, that if you're like disrespecting me in this way, like I'm gonna take it really serious. And it might go to a place that you don't want it to go to.
Valid.
So
Wow.
Any other questions? You got anything else? I mean, those are great. So I'm trying to make sure.
No, like I think him being able to
come up with those on ChatGPT.
Of course. I did ask. We came up with a little prompt right prior to this. How to do a podcast.
No, I just thought about it. Like I think like I can't ask a question without thinking about everything that has been said, taking into consideration every person that will watch this, every name that I've mentioned, every name that you mentioned. Steve-O, Felix, Dennis.
If I could, because we just mentioned Steve-O, and the New Balance thing, right? Because I kind of didn't get this out before, but do yourself a favor and watch the New Balance Andrew Reynolds 20-minute documentary about the development of the shoe.
The one. Yeah.
About the whole development of this shoe that I'm wearing right now. That was like, as a BMXer, I think a lot of us will look to skate and kind of be like, that is the fucking dream, because their lifestyle, the kind of product opportunities they get with these big companies and actually developing shoes rather than getting a colorway, it's very inspirational. If you watch Andrew Reynolds' video and how he went about the entire thing, that's basically what, embarrassingly, but that was like my dream. That was like the fantasy for New Balance. Like in some crazy world, I was like trying to like build up the courage to like find a way to reach out to the right person at New Balance, kind of present my case and start a BMX program.
Yeah.
So
it wasn't just what we talked about on the podcast of like plugging a brand that doesn't work with.
Exactly. Of course. It
was more. Yeah.
It has to start somewhere.
It's bigger than just, hey, I no longer ride for Vans.
Yeah.
Like I tagged New Balance particularly because I started to wear their shoes, started to learn more about them.
Yeah.
And I backed what they're doing. Like, I think that it's really sick. Like, every pair of shoes that I've ridden in, I've bought one at a time. And I don't ride every day by any means anymore, but I ride at least like once a week. And I usually pedal downtown. I'm fucking sliding around, put my foot down everywhere. I get about 2 to 3 months out of one pair of shoes.
Yeah.
Not to name names, but previous shoes, I'd get maybe 2 weeks out of them. So it's kind of like where I'm at now is like, I rock these shoes because of build quality, because they care. And like the way that Andrew Reynolds went about this shoe that I was talking about previous is like, dude really fucking cares. Like, and in some dream scenario, that would have been like the sickest situation.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, I get it.
hit them up, like they're actually interested in doing a BMX program, and then
Let me bridge
get
this
to design
gap.
a shoe, blah blah blah,
Yeah.
and then to close that one off a little bit, not to fully close it off,
do your
but
thing.
what I heard was Julian started rocking their shoe. Nuno knows the guy at Numeric, who's like the team manager, whatever, kind of proposed the idea with Julian in mind. That dude's feedback was basically that the skaters built Numeric, like from the ground up, and they wouldn't want to like interfere with that in any way. Like Numeric is skate.
Right.
So if there ever was a BMX program, it wouldn't be Numeric. You know, I think was kind of the idea, but they didn't even go as far as like if there ever was a BMX program. It was more so just like, nah, you guys can't be in Numeric because that's their shit.
Yeah.
So it is more importantly kind of reflects back onto leaning into the research and development of personal effort, sometimes taking things seriously, mixed with a lot of the situations that riders, industry guys have been through. You know, you dealt with a lot with the ride situation. You had a lot tied into that, like trying to get it, all these different things. Building our BMX, risk taker. So,
dude, seriously, props.
Yeah, like, yeah,
I appreciate it.
Kept the shit alive, man. Like it's like
I tried. Yeah.
I don't know. Like when you first started, I was like, damn, this is a bold move.
Yeah.
You know, this is extremely bold, and like I was stoked for you guys, and like it's like, yeah, I mean, this could see it working out, you know, but then here we are a few years later, and it's like, dude, it's sick. It's like it's a full established thing, and it's it's here to stay.
Yeah, I think I think I always just look at what we're not doing, of course, you know, but that's it. That's
as you do in your position as the owner
that's
and all
the
that
plight.
stuff, you know, like, but
plight.
that's what takes you into your next step, right?
Hopefully.
So when you see what you're not doing, then you
I think I'm staying the course right now.
I
mean, dude, I'm kind of it's always I always peak. I peaks and valleys to everything. So I think I'm like in a mental.
That's important. No, that's fine. Like that's good, because I think like I think a lot of people are probably on the outside looking at like you're spoiled or you got it good, you got it made. I know you and Brant Moore got into a lot of shit.
Nothing.
And I'm bringing it up because of like the perception on the outside. You know, perception versus perspective. It's like,
well, that's the thing with him is that like with just that is that he is. I mean, he understands more now, but like no pun intended. But but my point of view was, I've been doing this for 25 years. I got hired to ride at 21. Like my understanding of how things works is like on a different level, and you're like outraged by things that were like, that's how it works.
How things works, like your experience, like your process, the things like you dealt with firsthand, and through that you draw information, you draw like obviously experience, but through that experience there was a lot of emotions, peaks and valleys, like you said, that help you come to making any sometimes irrational decision, particular decision, strategic decision to get you to the next step of not only just doing better for yourself, but the people around you. So what that turns into is results, conversation, and it to some people at the time may not solve the issue or the problem or the misunderstanding, but I advise every person that name was mentioned in this podcast, any person that's going to watch it, to listen, and think about it before you say anything else. Not saying that you can't say stuff, but listen enough to understand rather than to speak. Because what's going to happen is like, hopefully to help bring the shift back around to, he just brought up something about Andrew Reynolds. And the point is like, everything that you talked about has been strictly passion, and everything that you attach yourself to is that what your best foot forward, actual effort. That's not only just we didn't ask you where the drive come from. I mean, if I take a guess, it's a handful of things, but being able to paint the picture for all of us to understand, listen to, and piece it together through whether it's Instagram posts that people may have a misunderstanding about or may feel like they can voice without knowing a lot of information, to the day late, dollar short, to dime a dozen, to in search, still searching, all these pieces of this puzzle to get to this point, to be able to have the conversation about understanding, have the conversation about passion. Because generally, I think, and I'm very sure that you want every person that you're
Is there anything, you know, like I feel like we barely even got into you writing for Fiend. Like, is that, you know, what are your golden years? I mean, you kind of touched on being off of Fiend. Like, are you and Garrett still cool? You know, all those type of commenter type questions. Like, you know, what was
I think, so I guess let's start it off with the experience with Fiend.
Yeah.
Was great. It was awesome. Like, things may not have always been exactly to my perfectionist liking, but 95% of the time my opinion was fully heard, and maybe something was changed from that opinion or whatever, you know, like you always felt heard, which I think is very important at a company. At times, not so much, but at the same time, I feel like that's going to happen with anyone who is running a company and has all these overhead expenses and all that shit. Your 2 cents may not always necessarily work with that situation. So yeah, like I fully get it. No harsh feelings on anything that happened with Fiend, frankly, but yeah, in terms of like golden years, I would say those probably were the golden years. Yeah, like that No Bicycles video part was like, it meant a lot to me because I think on that one I had just moved to LA and it was just like, holy shit. Like I always knew how many spots LA had, but
it just really opened up the doors, like
really
wow.
Being there and getting the opportunity to learn when you can hit those rare spots, how to do it, et cetera, et cetera. Like some of the spots in LA, it's like there's 3 hours every week that you can hit them, like, you know, and it's like that Sunday from like 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. or like you'd have to find the random slot. And even if you're working with like,
I haven't seen this in a while,
street parking or whatever the fuck, you know, like there's little secrets to all these like LA spots. And like once you kind of start to unlock them and stuff, it's like, holy fuck, dude, this world is endless out here, you know, there's so many spots. After this part, it did start to get a little bit like harder for me to film parts because I felt like I was either going back to like the same spots, like ending up in the same zones and being like, well, yeah, I already filmed this here. And like, I don't really like to go back and one up myself or anything like that, you know? Like, I think one of the biggest flexes in Southern California filming is the new spot. Yeah. So anytime that there was a new spot, it's like basically a race to like get to that shit.
Yeah.
Like, kind of, I always tried to basically shut it down for myself. Like maybe not shut it down like, oh yeah, no one's ever going to come back here and top my shit, you know? But like for what I felt was possible for me at that spot, I always tried to max out.
Not leaving something on the table.
Exactly. Yeah. Max it out. So that second, third video part in LA got like a bit harder. Like Eclaw, I was like, the Eclaw Thai part, I literally like, I don't know why, I just like had it in the back of my head that this was my last part. It was so weird. And like, I felt physically able, fine, like everything was good mentally, et cetera, but I don't know, it's ironic how it like really worked out that way. And it's funny because when we filmed Trip Tape, Sean Mack was like, "This is my last part," and it's kind of like, "Yeah, right, bro.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you're fucking Sean Mack, dude. You're gonna film another part." That's his last part.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's like, I don't know. It's something. I feel like something in your head like just tells you. Like, it's weird. Like, this is it, dude. Like, after this, I can't do it anymore.
I always think of like, you know, we'll use like ends or something. You know, you just people want to see him do an invert or a down whip over a hip or something like that. But for you, it's like a monstrous 3 or
And
something.
I've had people like say shit like that to me, like, which I know they're just trying to like they're coming from the right place.
Yeah.
But to me, it's like, not that I'm like, oh man, that's offensive, but like, kind of don't downplay my shit.
Yeah.
Of like, just fucking pegs hard at outledge, bro. Like, just put that on the gram, dude. Just pegs hard and outledge. That's all the people want to see. Do a wall ride 180, you know, or do a foot plant. Like,
I mean, you do have a good wall ride 180.
but it's like, and I appreciate that. I love the fact that people enjoy watching those sides of my riding. But for me as a rider, for someone that always kind of prided themselves in trying to progress the sport in any way that they can, I'd rather just not.
Yeah.
Like, I'd rather not have any of that stuff out there. It's like, what I did is what I did. Watch it again. Like, I don't know. Like,
It's funny, but 100%
like,
valid. Yeah. Like,
watch it again, dude, because it's like, it's probably as good as it's going to get. Like, it's like, those parts were...
you said you didn't leave it. You left nothing on the table.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, for each spot that I went to, like, one of the most validating compliments I ever got throughout my entire BMX career was from Dak. And Dak once told me, no one utilizes a spot better than you do.
Wow.
And I was like,
Dak himself. Like, yo.
bro, what?
Yeah.
But to hear that from him, like, I really did pride myself in that for till the end of my career, basically, you know, of like, yeah, bro, like, if I see this setup, it's a fucking dope setup. Maybe it's a new setup. Maybe it's a setup. There was like when
I
that
always felt
second, third part in LA, sorry to cut you off, but I was saying we were like resurrecting spots because we did kind of start to uncap a lot of shit. We started to like slightly mod spots to make them rideable again and stuff. And I always looked at that as like, okay, there's a era of riding gap here that I can take advantage of, because these spots were ridden in the early 2000s, got knobbed, became out of service, didn't get ridden for 10, 15 years. Modern era, let's just fucking uncap them. LA is a pretty easy place to get rid of or get away with some criminal activity. Not advising anyone do it, but yeah, you can fucking sledgehammer a knob off a ledge and no one says shit to you there. So it's like, we started taking advantage of some stuff and opened up a few spots that weren't running for years. And then that was how I like made my second, third video part essentially in LA. Yeah.
And then did San Diego give you the same thing, or was that kind of like didn't seem to?
San Diego is like an interesting topic, and I guess I'm glad that we kind of landed here because it is important. I moved down here with the sole intention of like, I want to ride with the Fiend guys again, and I want this shit to just be dope.
Yeah.
Like, I want what we had, essentially. Like, when I used to live here, and even the trinklets of it that existed when I first moved to LA and stuff like that. Like, over the years, we just grew more and more and more apart. At the point I left LA, I felt like there was no one left. Mm-hmm. All my homies
the
moved
block
during
and
COVID.
stuff. Yeah,
everyone moved during COVID. It became impractical. How the fuck are you gonna live here? This place is crazy during this time, you know. So a lot of people had to make moves and get out of there. So the LA I grew to love, the people I hung out with, were all gone. I was going to the skate park multiple times, and excuse me, it was beers. So I go to the skate park and just be the only bike rider, you know? Yeah. And you do that week after week after week after week. It gets fucking old, man. Like, and you get like, again, that like weird.
Dude, is that thing's not recording?
Yeah. When I was in LA, it kind of got to the point where everyone that I was originally hanging out with, the reason why I kind of moved up there, had pretty much moved away. So going to the skate park, you know, trying to get sessions in, trying to stay on point to, you know, film my next video part and stuff. And I'm just the only BMX rider at the skate park. I've hit up, you know, any friend possible that's not working a 9 to 5 currently or whatever. And, you know, no one's down to link or whatever. So just ended up so many times where I'm just like riding by myself. And then the times where I would actually ride with somebody, you know, it's more just about like, we're just linking up and kicking it, you know, and whatever. It's not so serious. And then I kind of remember telling a couple people like that were visiting, like, hey, I'm kind of envious of like what you're doing. Like, I feel like it's kind of sicker to visit LA than to actually live in LA. And kind of like got that stuck in my head for a little while. And then I was like, all right, I think the move is to go down to San Diego. And like at the time we were wanting to get out of our place because my fucking landlord during COVID, the first week of COVID, our previous neighbor had moved out. So the landlord had her heroin addict daughter move in to the building that was like right next to ours. We had this super rare property in LA, but I had a little.
There's one in the back, right?
Yeah, it was like at the end of this driveway, 2-story place, like a little spiral case in it, or spiral staircase in it. And when I moved in there, the rent was $1,500 a month. 2-story house with a little backyard, driveway, 2 parking spot, in the heart of like East Hollywood, like few blocks from Silver Lake, few blocks from Hollywood, 10 minutes from downtown LA. Great location.
Yeah.
So I milked that shit as long as I could. But then during COVID, literally the worst possible fucking time, this landlord invites her daughter to come live there, and it just became a fucking nightmare. Like, I won't even get into details on that shit, but just complete nightmare. Had to move.
Yeah.
So we end up starting to look for places. Took us like a year and a half, bro. We went from like Culver City to like trickling with the idea of like Santa Monica Sawtelle area, like where there's hella apartments and stuff, to like Orange County, to South Orange County, to North San Diego, to randomly like seeing the place that we live in. And my fiance sent it to me as a joke. She was like, look at this fucking place. Because the cover photo was like a really shitty photo. Mm-hmm. There's like we got like a tandem garage, and then there's like a bonus room at the end of the garage. It's a really weird setup. But that room has no windows. And like at the time, it was also carpeted when we moved in. And that was their cover photo. Oh, and the ceiling lighting was also 2 different colors of light. So it's just like the cover photo was horrible. Worst cover photo they could have possibly picked.
Yeah.
But then like I click on the ad because I'm like, why did she send me this? You know, I start swiping through.
It's like, wait a second.
Whoa, this place is fucking sick, actually. And I was like, yo, did you look at that place? And she's like, no, what the fuck? The cover photo is crazy. I just sent it to you as a joke. And I was like, yo, it's actually really sick. Like, we should go check it out. And at the time, there just wasn't much interest because I think like the cover photos suck so bad. And like we had such a hard time even like getting past the point of application, you know, before like somebody else had already swooped up these other places we were looking at. So we talked to them, checked it out, signed the lease the next day, you know. We were like, let's do it. And then the sole intention was basically to kind of get closer to the BMX scene again and have basically what I considered like my second wind and shit. Like I was like, all right, I'm going to go down here and do this. But I don't know. I don't know exactly what distinctively like got me like so discouraged, but I think like the Fiend stuff definitely played a role in that. but ultimately I think it was like just me naturally like evolving away from BMX and whatever I was doing at the time. Yeah. Like it's crazy though, because even I lived here 3.5 years and I'm like, all right, any day now, you know, I'm gonna get out there and film a fucking banger. And that's gonna be the start of this next wave, you know, like, so it's like still in the back of my like head and like soul, of course, you know, that like I still have it in me, and like I know that given 2 weeks of consistent riding, I'd go out there and film some shit I'm really proud of. Yeah. You know, but I don't know, man. It's just like a constant mental battle of like what's really worth it at this point in my life. And like I've gone through that a lot, especially the last 2 years, and like just really trying to figure out what the fuck I want to do. And
you mentioned Dak a few times. Have you and him have you guys had long conversations about this? Because like I feel like he's the, you know, his video parts just he's gone this distance and he's done so much that his motivation to like keep going, and this is nothing to do with the spine injury, is unmatched. You know,
prior to any injury, we had conversations like this for sure on trips. Like Dak and I have talked pretty extensively, you know, but I don't know.
Different people, obviously. Like it's not.
I think like we relate on a lot of the same topics. Like we feel the same way a lot about a lot of this stuff, you know. But at the same time, it's really hard to speak, obviously, for him. I know you're not asking me to do that, but yeah. And I guess to answer your question, in the last couple years that I've really been like struggling with it and trying to figure out, no. But you know, he's got a newborn kid and he's got a lot going on. So like
you want to hear my bullshit, Dak? Or Dak?
Like so I'm just
so check this out.
Like I'm sure any day of the week though, like I know Dak's the homie. Like if I did reach out to him, he'd be fucking open ears and we'd have a 3-hour conversation. You know what I mean? But I also just kind of try to respect his space in that sense.
What advice would you give younger riders coming up into the BMX industry, whether it's like wanting to be a professional bike rider or a videographer? Any advice?
Stay in school.
Because
Because ultimately, I don't know. I think the biggest lesson I've learned is that everything is temporary, and it's always nice to have like a good backup. Yeah. So
diversification.
Exactly. It's like it would be awesome to be the next Dennis Anderson. I told, you know, rather pessimistically, but one of the last times I did hang out with Dennis, I told him and Garrett, I don't think there'll ever be another one of you guys. I think that point in our industry, in our world, is gone.
I think if you draw the parallel for like skateboarding and Sheckler, there'll never be another. Sheckler.
There'll never be another.
You know, like, there could be a female Sheckler in skateboarding because that is a newer arena. Potentially, I see the popularity there.
Totally.
But
it's a different.
But at a point, even that will go away because it's not brand new anymore. And that's always the thing: is that when it was brand new, and now it's. I don't know. I mean, I don't fucking know, dude. Video games.
But it's weird because
it's
it is like, it's brand new, but that brand new era sure seemed to last a really long time.
It did.
And then where we're at now is so drastically different, and that drastic difference has happened in a pretty short time span. You know what I mean? Like early 90s to like 2010, pretty much nearly like solid 20 years. It's a pretty good fucking run. From 2010 to 2020.
Was a crazy period.
A crazy period of like, we're pulling everything back, basically. So I don't know. Like I try to like think that there's like this potential great opportunity for the future generation, but the pessimistic and realistic side of me wants to say that it's like, how do I say this without being fucked up? Because there's people that still do it as a career, but I don't think it's a career in the future.
I think it's a mashup of like influencer and being super marketable and a hustle.
But how rare
you
is
know?
that?
Yeah. I mean,
How rare is
As a
Nigel?
current
Matthias
guy,
How
Daniel,
fucking
yeah.
rare is
What's that?
Nigel?
As a current guy still in there, I agree.
Yeah.
Like I agree.
Yeah.
Like it is a mashup of a bunch of different things, and I think like for myself, it's like, I mean, I obviously have personal stuff I work on writing wise and like video stuff, but the mix in between, I look at it like using platforms as a pastime, and whatever I make behind the scenes and that will eventually come out is purely because I just want to.
Yeah.
So it definitely have always been in the back of my mind of like the transcending the next chapter, but more so to kind of similar where it's like I don't really think about it until I have to cross it. But I agree with you.
I would think that I would hope that most people that are doing this or searching this out, they know that the career doesn't last forever, and you always have to be like, hey, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna fucking enjoy it and cherish it for a while, and then I'm gonna have to do something else afterwards.
Well, that's a good point, because I do think about, not personally, but like I can imagine being a pro when I was like a teenager.
Yeah.
So that for me didn't exist.
Yeah.
So I obviously did stuff before writing, like as getting paid to ride. But to the person that has written for like teens and all the way up even to this current day, and it's like, what is it like? Yeah. What would the change be? And it's like, I can't imagine learning how to cope with that. And I've only been doing this like a short period of time, so it's like, oh, that's, probably like could put you in so many different places.
I mean, it's perspective.
Like,
to me, it's like obvious, but maybe it's not. Maybe it is a hard thing to see when you're younger. But
yeah. That being said, I do want to give respect towards, obviously, Nigel.
Yeah.
Like, just to shed a little bit of light on that dude. Like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Like, what a insane, like, gift to BMX that dude is.
Yeah.
And it's hilarious because, admittedly, myself included, I didn't understand it in the beginning.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people did not understand it in the beginning. But where he has gotten now is the proof in the pudding. And I think he has fundamentally set, like, a path for the ability to do what you're talking about.
Yeah.
For, like, not, like, I consider you to be, like, outside of this category, and not to knock anything from Jaren, but Jaren is like an incredible bike rider, but I think he's genuinely more of an influencer. Like, we gotta get him on here to get that answer. Super sick bike rider, but he is more of an influencer.
His marketability and being able to showcase certain things and work with brands in a way has circumvented. It has like come over top of his bike riding ability.
Exactly.
Jared, you gotta get on here and tell us. Yeah. Tell the people.
Yeah.
To the future kids, if there's a path, look to these dudes.
Yeah.
It's the Nigels, the DeMarcuses, the Jarens.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I think if there's any future, that's what it is. Solely focusing on, I can do the craziest trick and get first place at the contest. There's no future. I don't think. Yeah.
Heavy words.
There isn't.
Yeah,
like, I don't.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think it's
Never crossed my mind that way.
I don't think
like,
it's
when you put it in that
not
perspective.
like it's. I think it's fair to say it's like nearly a factual statement. Like, because show me anyone that's doing it.
Yeah.
There's no one.
I mean,
Who's
Ryan
making
Williams
good
or
money
something.
off
Yeah.
of BMX?
Yeah. I mean, street side, I think, has always been harder. You know,
of course,
but
but
I don't know, Peraza. You know, like, but I mean, I guess.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, but I mean, you have those dudes, but Peraza's marketable as well. He's great.
Yeah.
Great social stuff. You know,
He's
so
like,
I don't know. I think there's always.
He's got his
hustle,
own.
but-
He's like, you know, and what I said was, yeah, definitely geared towards the street riders of the industry.
Yeah.
Like, Kevin is
Yeah,
a
I
whole
guess
nother
that was
great
that was
category of like.
not a good example.
He's in the like he's like a crowd pleaser.
Yeah.
Essentially, you know, like his riding is great, and then he's gonna come with the energy after.
Yeah.
I think Chad's also great with that.
Yeah.
I've never been at a street contest where I've seen a crowd get more hyped up than one where Chad was at.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because he's like
His energy is crazy.
HB fucking Vans contest is a perfect
Energy is
example.
crazy.
This fool's fucking.
Yeah,
What's
like,
up,
yeah.
you know, just like
just fucking.
I'm like, bro,
yeah.
you're the chillest guy ever, but
Yeah.
like, it's so sick to like see you like deliver that energy. You know?
Yeah.
Like it's like crazy, and like, I don't know. I think that's sick, but that is a whole another side. Like if you are given the opportunity to go to contests and all that stuff, then yeah, you really do need to come with the energy on top of it. Yeah.
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 I do not want to cut it off, but it is after midnight.
Holy shit! Are you
now-
serious?
Yeah. Now I'm sad that camera cut off twice too. Well, it's going right
I did
now.
not realize it went
I
by.
got 3 more. Okay.
Yeah. But
Well, sorry, Albert.
Better get this right.
I mean, dude, your contribution to everything you put out and the attention to detail, and as you said, leaving nothing on the table is something that you should like fucking take with you and let it carry you for a long time
Thanks, man.
in the sense of like, I can do this, and so I can do everything else that I want to do. You know,
I genuinely appreciate that coming from you, because I feel like a few times over the years, whether it's even been you asking if I want to come onto the podcast or whatever, and me giving you my excuse of like, yeah, mentally I'm not there or whatever, trying to figure shit out.
Yeah.
You've always been very supportive in that sense of like, hey man, like I know whatever the fuck you do, you're going to do it.
yeah.
And like I get that same support from my fiance, and like it's rare, so I genuinely appreciate it.
Yeah,
So,
and
like,
it shouldn't be rare, because
Yeah.
I understand how talented you are, and
Thanks, man.
and you have your crazies or whatever whatever you want to call it, but like that comes with talent, and
to
that
quote
comes.
Andrew Reynolds, the madness.
Yeah, I mean I haven't seen it, but like like that is part of it, and that's why. If you were difficult with brands to work with, they wanted it because they understood that the result that they got was top 1%, top 0.01% of what they could get.
Right.
And people resonate with that, and people understand, even though it is this world, there still is an element of the fact that people want the quality, and people want and are willing to wait for it. So, stay on whatever path you choose, I know you're trying to figure out that path, but whatever path you choose, once you apply yourself to it, you're going to do great.
Yep.
Thanks, man.
Completely not fluffing you up in any sense. I truly believe that. So
Thank you. I truly appreciate it.
Yeah. So, I don't know what else to say.
I would say thanks
Yeah.
for letting me be a part of this.
Yeah.
Be able to ask a few
Thank
questions.
you so much.
Yeah,
It would have been dope with just Fudger and I, that he was like, yeah, we could do it tonight. It'd be just you and I or whatever. Since DeMarcus not back in town, but I was like, I feel like we got to do it with at least one more person. And like him and I, like we ride.
Yeah, you guys have been hanging
like
out.
I've mentioned him, like the only way I'm gonna do it is if you're there, man. So,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
No,
I
I get
appreciate you coming
Yeah,
through.
for
Yeah.
sure, man.
Thank you for real.
Thank you, Ty.
Thank you
Yeah, man.
for having me on this to have the opportunity to talk my shit.
Of course.
Yeah.
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 Love it. All right. I'm delirious. I'm distraught about that camera. Honestly, I'm like, I literally,
it's gonna be fine.
After that, I like wasn't the same. I was like,
At that point in the pod, people are gonna be just listening.
I know,
Yeah,
I know, right?
I feel like they're gonna have to.
Yeah.
Like I think that so much time.